Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the December 8th Lebanon City Council meeting. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call members. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Sure. Mike Kincaid.
Present.
Keith Campbell.
Here.
Sandra Jasonowski. Here. Dick Robertson.
Here.
John Copeland.
Here.
Sierra Messenger is
She's excused.
absent. And Robert Hawkins.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. Move on to the approval of the minutes. We have minutes from November 24th. Any changes to those minutes from anybody?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Rob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. All right, our first item up here is a presentation concerning the 39 relinquishment study. If you guys remember correctly, earlier this year, we had kind of an initial conversation with NDOT. They kind of wanted us to take some temperature on them relinquishing State Road 39 to us. So we essentially commissioned a study to give a more in-depth analysis and detailed view of the project. And so they're coming to present these results to us. So Kevin, anything else you want to add to that?
Thank you. I won't add too much. We will turn this over to the team from Avenue, and more particularly Craig Parks will be representing them and presenting the study to you. We've been working on this study since early this past summer, looking at the entire State Road 39 corridor and the effects that growth in the area and growth in traffic will have on that over the next couple of decades, and what we need to do to be adequately prepared for that growth. So with that, if there's nothing needed from me, I will turn it over to Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Kevin. Craig?
Thank you so much. Glad this large crowd came out to hear about 39, right?
Yeah, very excited. Well, it affects everybody, right? You know?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Craig Parks, longtime resident of Lebanon, and I'm pleased to be able to do this in a professional realm too, not just personal. So as Kevin introduced, NDOT has discussed with the city, with the mayor, about the potential of taking ownership of the State Road 39 corridor. So the purpose of this study was literally to provide the city, the mayor, and all of you adequate tools to determine if the balance of that having the control of the corridor versus the cost that you're going to see to have that, and what's the cost implications to get it to a place where the city desires and improve it that way, and what's long-term implications of that. So what we did is we broke up, just to analyze the entire corridor, we broke it up into 6 different, what we call, I'm sorry, yeah, I thought it was on. Are you connected? I apologize. Yeah, there you go. So we broke it up into 6 character zones based on the adjacent land use current, and just the basic the land use and just the characteristics itself of the corridor. Now, State Road 39 is unique. You all live it. I live it. It's always the thought is, why would you improve this, not just build a bypass or something like that? Well, it's pretty limited north-south corridors through Lebanon. You don't want to put a bypass out too far that's going to draw away from downtown, and then towards the downtown, flanking 39, you got railroad on the west. You got golf course up north on the north. So then how, in the park, how do you adequately do it? So 39 is the spine of the city. So I think the answer does lie in trying to improve it as much as you can to be able to serve the city. So we broke it up into those character zones, though, being the southern one is I-65 to Elm. It's more the gateway, what we call the gateway. Then you got the downtown, which is Elm Street to North Street. Third one is North Street to Essex. It's more residential. It's that transitional zone. You get up to Essex, which is really, you get to Camp, and then Northfield. Those areas adjacent to the park is that transitional. Then you get to commercial, the commercial 5-lane section up in front of Walmart and up to Anderson, actually up to County Road 300. We took it. And then you have your north leap gateways, what we're calling it, all the way up to 47. So that's how we broke it down in all of our cost analysis and everything we did, call everything character zones. So as part of this, the mayor wanted us to also have community input. Prior to us Avenue getting on board, there was a survey put out through social media, online survey. And then in July, we had a public open house. So it actually was for a very nice day. It was very well attended. It was a nice sunny day out there. But we had a good turnout. And some of the concerns that were brought up, we discussed. We had big roll plots of the existing corridor. And items that were discussed is the corridor safety, the roadway maintenance, areas where the pavements are failing, a lack of bicycle and pedestrian facilities that exist, crossing especially east to west, and being able to not only parallel but cross the roadway, and then also the impact of future development. Some of the community suggestions, actually, some of them were a bit surprising, having been in the industry for 30 years and being a roundabout proponent. Roundabouts, actually, several individuals brought up the idea of roundabouts at several of the intersections, which from a transportation engineer makes a lot of sense, but it was good to get some community input that way as well. Improved lighting and that improved bike and ped facilities was discussed or came about. So just high level existing conditions, not the things that you know where you sit in the traffic. But some of the things we did was also the existing conditions of the pavement itself. So we utilized it's an in-house a program we've developed, an AI program to analyze the pavements. And I myself drove the pavements, and the roadway was in fair to poor condition. And then we also did traffic and congestion analysis. We contracted with A&F engineers who also have done a lot of work here in the city of Lebanon. You've done your road impact fees and utilized them to perform operational performance of intersections, of some select intersections, and several of them were at level service E or F by the year 2050. Some of them are already functioning. Noble and Camp are also functioning at below level of service that's adequate right at these days.
And just to clarify, that's like a grading scale in school,
Grading
right?
scale, yes, sorry.
Yep.
Level of service is A to F, A being great, F being failing, just like you have in school, but except we have E in there as well. But it's still a very similar rating scale. You want to stay at a level of service D, typically would be for a long range planning to be able to, because if you're looking at 2050, you're projecting a lot of, you're analyzing a lot of anticipated growth. And what we actually also utilized was a model that was developed for Lebanon LEAP entire district from a travel demand model, which looked at the existing network, anticipated changes in the network to help us grow that then too. And then we just did the pedestrian and drainage infrastructure. We know the pedestrian infrastructure is limited. There's some areas we have sidewalks, but elsewhere it's limited, especially where you have heavy commercial uses. There is no sidewalks, which is what's needed. So those are the existing conditions. We also looked into we pulled 4 years of crash data from the entire corridor limits. We identified several of the hot spots, which is where your frequent crashes, your highest frequency of crashes. And the intersection improvements the intersections which would really benefit from a crash standpoint would be Birchwood, Noble, Elm, Camp, and Anderson Lane. Then if you're looking at the corridor areas, improving corridor safety improvements, not just the intersections, but looking at an entire corridor. That the areas is the area between camp and Northfield, and then the commercial area between Dairy Queen and up near Anderson Lane. Those are the areas which for 5-lane section, that area, you anticipate seeing that. So not a whole lot that I think anybody that uses it all the time would say, but this is just an engineering way of saying that, backing that what we know. So then, let me see if this works. For the corridor recommendations, we worked with the mayor and Kevin to come up with various concepts. And I've created this, and we'll be able to share it to anybody that wants to be able to. It's a Google map to be able to click on the different character zones. I'll just quickly go through these. Typically, they're in urban, what we call an urban section, curb and gutters, what we're looking at with sidewalks or pedestrian multi-use paths on both sides. The goal was to fit everything within the existing right-of-way for the corridors themselves, knowing that the intersection improvements will have impacts, but the corridors themselves, we are trying to constrain to the existing right-of-way corridors. So for the gateway section, here remain a 2-lane roadway, but improving, putting sidewalks on either side, sidewalks or multi-use paths, and improving grass strips and including lighting. And then as you go down to that,
Hey,
down.
Craig,
Go
I don't
ahead.
think your screen's showing the.
See if I can do this. Doing it. The only when you go presentation mode, it'll allow it.
You could do overhead, actually, if you wanted. Oh. Well, no, it's.
Good idea. Thank you. We'll go to the overhead. It's a cool looking Google Earth model, but we will share that link so all of you can. All right. So in character zone 1 would be the southern gateway, I-65 gateway, 2-lane road, improving the sidewalk pedestrian facilities. Then as you move into the downtown, we are actually recommending it's already so built up that to maintain about what you have there, knowing congestion happens, but right now, otherwise that there's such tight constraints down there, trying to keep it, having on-street parking in some areas where you have it currently, and continuing that, including down the downtown square. Then as you go to the transitional residential, which is north of the square, up to about Camp Street, it would remain 2 lanes, but right now it's real wide 2 lanes. So it would be narrowing the 2 lanes down to and adding pedestrian facilities on either side, wide pedestrian facilities for that. Then you get up to the area of all the transitional. It again would remain 2 lanes, reducing that actually and adding pedestrian facilities on both sides, probably on the portions north of camp. You'd probably try to utilize some of the existing park path system that might be there to flank as well, but then adding pedestrian facilities along the west side. Then the commercial area, this is where large change would be integrating a median into down the middle of 39 or of Lebanon Street, maintaining 2 lanes in each direction. But that could potentially even, if we're improving the intersection capacities, you could probably reduce that down and maybe integrate some other online bike lanes and or golf cart even adjacent to existing lanes. But right now we are proposing 4-lane section with a divided median. Then you get up to the Leap Gateway. That is where we also integrated a median section with single lane in each direction with adjacent bike lanes and then also ped facilities outside because it is a wide right of ways up on the north end. So, any questions? So as far as the intersections, we did analyze 4 of the intersections, and then that were representative of all the others. I pulled intersections that I know in each of the character zones, and what we found is that single lane roundabouts would work in the year 2025 through 2050 for Birchwood, Camp, Noble, Elm, and Northfield. Then multi-lane roundabouts would be necessary for Maple, Anderson, Frontier Drive, 300 North, and Lakeshore Drive. If we were to, the ones, the Frontier and Lakeshore are ones in that commercial zone that could be adjusted to other locations. There's several intersections along there. We just chose Frontier and Lakeshore. They're spaced out pretty well, evenly, but would put one at Maple, definitely one at Anderson Lane, and then in between, put 2 more to be able to provide. With the median section, then you're able to turn right, go to the nearest roundabout, and to go, if you're wanting to, on the west side, wanting to go north, you'd be able to go to the nearest roundabout and make that U-turn that way. So the big thing, what everybody's interested in, right? What's its cost? So to reconstruct the entire roadway, rebuild all 6 miles, put intersection roundabouts at the intersection, full project, which means engineering, right-of-way, utility relocations, all in, what we're estimating it would be $138 million to do that, which takes a lot of input from, from federal funds. You're going to have to leverage federal funds, and this is where the discussions with NDOT start happening, as well as how can you find a way to make this happen, and can you ever reach a point where you can get the corridor as you would like it, and NDOT relinquish that control and be able to provide enough to be able to help you do that. So $138 million. We did break up, we tried to do it to break it up into phases, and this would be broken up in federal. If you were to do this, it would be federal applications for grants from 2031 all the way to 2038. Thinking a 4-year development process with a federal aid project. So every year you'd be applying for federal fund 80-20 grant to be able to make that happen. Still a large pool for you. In addition to that, what we are recommending, because that's going to be till 2038, we also recommended you would do a pavement preservation, which would be 1.5 mil resurface and some deep patching, which it desperately needs. That would allow you to extend the life of it until you can reconstruct. And that comes in about, in 2025 dollars, $5.8 million. The other thing I would point out, those are all in 2025 estimates. We'll get there, but you have to anticipate inflation on all this. So then we saw that big number. So we're like, okay, is there something else that maybe get this more in line with what maybe an NDOT improvements might be, but still be able to provide the control to the city? And that would be maybe you fix the intersections to help the corridor flow throughout congestion. You still go after federal dollars, leveraging federal dollars over those 8 years. It would take the total to be 55 million. So 138 million down to $56 million or so. And what we had proposed with this is instead of full reconstruction outside the limits of the intersections would be a 4-inch, what we call structural overlay, 4 inches mill and resurface with deep patching involved as well. So you wouldn't get the corridor with all the PED facilities that you'd want, but you'd still have an improved corridor with congestion mitigated that way too. So I talked a little bit about the inflation. What's that mean? Even in the early pavement preservation program, if you we're talking $25, you span that over 2 years to 3 years, start constructing. If you would be able to start constructing that in 26 through 28, that still grows to about 6.5 million. You start looking at the $138 million option, your reconstruction one, and you take it over the 20 years that's going to, or 15 years it's going to take to develop, your cost goes from 138 to about $215 million. Even the reduced alternative goes from 55 to 82 million. And what I was doing is assuming for construction about 5% increase. Soft costs would be about a 3% increase per year. And utility increases would be, your utility costs, relocation costs would be 5%, as well as land, which land at 5% is probably, that's very conservative even, or actually pretty low for Lebanon, but you got to factor that in. So we did do a 20-year cost analysis of what would it take. So the overall, how does this boil down to discussion with NDOT? Again, you will have to leverage federal dollars to be able to afford any of these. And so if you, by the 20-year cost analysis that I did, the first scenario, which was the total reconstruction plus the early pavement preservation, total expenditures is 222 million. If you were to be blessed enough to be able to get 80-20 for federal funding on all the reconstruction portions of 172 million, then that would be the local and or unrestricted dollars that you'd have to spend, would be $49 million. The second scenario where you reduce that scope and do the early pavement preservation, and then you do the intersections in a structural overlay, that $89 million over the 20 years, you apply federal dollars, awards, and then the local amount that you would need would be to leverage that would be $23 million. So this is the basis of information that we will then utilize with the mayor and Kevin to discuss, and I think NDOT, there's some folks I saw from NDOT here, to discuss how is this feasible to be able to do. And so with a relinquishment, typically there would be some exchange of funds. NDOT would provide funding to the locals. This would be extremely high for that, from what you see typically, though. So, yeah.
Thank you, Greg, for the good news, right? Certainly, it was a detailed analysis, and that's what we wanted.
Correct.
We wanted to be able to make an educated decision on this and understand the complexity of it. Obviously, there are financial realities of the situation, and there's not an easy, cheap solution to 39. So, questions from council for Craig on their presentation?
If we got the federal money, would NDOT cover the 20%?
that's to be discussed. I mean, and even if you don't get the federal money all at once. I mean, the federal aid program would be a series of annual requests to NDOT for projects. And that's why I even tried to break up the corridor into pieces that were on the high end of what NDOT even typically awards. I mean, within and or the high end of what they typically award for the locals through the federal aid transportation funds. So that would be the end goal, is to be able to see if you can work with NDOT to get the local match, you put it aside, and then as those the progress or the construction progresses, as your projects go through, as you get the awards, the goal would be that then you'd have zero out of pocket. But again, the funding that you'd have to get from them would have to be unrestricted to be able to be used as a local match towards the for the federal aid.
What is the advantage for the state to relinquish 39? What's the advantage of the city to take it over?
In NDOT's defense, NDOT is not really set up to do urban roadways to plow streets right in front of small businesses right down downtowns. I mean, their operations are large, wide open roadways, interstates, major arterials to clear. I mean, I immediately go to the snow removal, but it's also the patching. It's the improvements costs of that. So there is, I mean, this is an expense for NDOT, but is it that big? I don't know. It's all for discussions. But the benefit to a city having control is that you get to control the roadway, and you get to direct how the roadway is cleared from a snow fight, but also how you improve it. The alternatives we went through were what is desired based on the city's long-range plans, through various plans that you've developed in the past for arterials. It's more of an urban feel. You add the pedestrian facilities. And that's, again, not in the business of constructing miles of multi-use paths adjacent to roadways. I mean, they are the Department of Transportation, typically focused on the state roads, vehicular traffic. So there's a lot of benefits to a local being able to do with the roadway what you want to do with the roadway, but there's a lot of costs associated with doing so too.
Is it their goal to reroute 39 down 47 to 65?
You wouldn't have to, a state road, you don't have to reroute it. A state road, if it's a U.S. route, you have to do that. But a state road, you can truncate and pick from a point to point and be able to pick back up on the other end. I mean, you'll see various state roads that are truncated in the middle of towns, cities. U.S. routes are what's usually rerouted. But
So they wouldn't change 39 to turn west on 47? I was told one time that they would relinquish roads so that
And that representative here.
okay.
Well, Craig said is right. We don't have to have 39 be continuous, but it is our plan to reroute 39 across 47 and down I-65 if we relinquish it through town to Lebanon. Yes.
Get truck traffic kind of sidelined a little bit from going through downtown.
Yeah, can you introduce yourself? Yes, sorry. Yeah.
Bill Smith with NDOT. So it is NDOT's plan to keep 39 continuous across 47 and down 65. That would be the signage. And it would just be a local street then through town.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Senator, do you have a question?
If we applied for a federal grant, you said the 80-20 on 80% of the federal grant, are they in the habit of rewarding what you ask for, or do they come in lower? Do they come in with the amount that you ask for? Most of the
typically, it's what you ask or nothing. Yeah, or no. Sometimes, I mean, if you propose a greater than 80-20, but greater than 20% match, you get a little bit, you're bumped up. But it's hard. for them, it's all based on what they have available to give to the locals as well. So it's no guarantee. And it's usually is not, oh, we're only going to give you a portion, because then it makes it very difficult to, on a lot of projects, if it's hardship on the local public agency, they can't afford, that's what they applied for, they may not be able to construct the improvement. So, yeah.
And we would request that in increments as you're doing the
Annually,
projects.
yes, and that's why the 20-year analysis broke it down, and even when you would have the expenditures in accordance with a 4-year federal aid project, starting with the engineering all the way through land acquisition in certain years, and then that's what I would, yes, from 2031, because that would be the next call for projects would be. For NDOT would be for 2031, fiscal year 2031 construction, from then to 2038, every year applying in hopes to be able to get funds. So there is no guarantee.
Craig, was there a certain section you thought needed the most attention based on the data analysis?
Any one section. I think it's more about the intersections, certain intersections, trying to improve certain intersections. But that's all, we discussed which section would you start with. And that's how I even spread out where the southern section was the very first out of the gate would be to do, because I know you have Noble Street already proposed, and it could be aligned pretty closely with your Noble Street project. But then after that, then it would be probably Camp Street area, simply because I know that was a hot spot. I would steer away from the downtown. You hurry improve some of the other downtown stuff. You're limited in what you can do improvements-wise down there, even on the intersections. So I would say, if you were to ask me, it would be get the southern section done just to build the momentum, and then jump up to Camp Street and do that section. And I desperately think that the commercial area, from a safety corridor-wise, is dangerous to turn out of. And to be able to improve that is, again, personally, I think that's very important too, because it's very hard turning left out of any of those is dangerous. And so from a safety standpoint, I would say that would be a high priority. So it's not necessarily a great direct answer, but I mean, a lot of it depends on you, what you have an appetite to do right away, but intersections definitely, and then from there the sections are, I would wait till the north section, do that last, because it's the most area to be developed, and maybe you can get some assistance from developments as they come in. So,
Any other questions for Craig?
Yeah.
Go Dick.
Hi, Craig.
Hey, Dick.
Thank you. Very nice presentation.
Thank you.
You failed to mention the 3 bridges that are in this project as well. That would could become part of the county's responsibility.
It would become part of the county's
Yeah.
responsibilities,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
This is pretty much a dream idea. If we was to get 39, if we really wanted it that bad, this could be an idea that we could do. This is changeable throughout the years and so forth. And, it's a great idea, but my question is, what is NDOT going to do to entice us to take State Road 39? I'm looking at basically 39, and you've driven it. You've evaluated all the pavements, a complete resurface all the way through town from one end to the other completely. And 1.5 inches is not going to be enough to take care of it.
Not for long term, correct.
Now, well, we're gonna need 10 years before you get to start this thing, probably. If we was
I had
to
1.5 inches plus a lot of deep patching in that as well. So,
Okay,
Yeah.
but it's going to take a lot of years before we get there. My other question is, did we look at the storm drainage, all the structures in the storm drainage, and the pipes underneath the State Road 39, what conditions are those rated
the
at?
costs we're assuming that there would be, I mean, we have anticipated reconstruction of storm sewers throughout, especially in the urban areas. There's not much existing to begin with, but anticipating storm sewer throughout because we're proposing curb and gutter section. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, these are all our planning level costs in 2025,
Okay.
anticipating future, right? So,
Well, I'm looking at it from the point of, we're not going to be able to do this right away. So they're going to have to bring it up to standard that we're willing to accept it. And that standard is there's a lot of curb needs to be replaced currently. There's a lot of pavement needs to be replaced all the way through. Are they going to resurface the whole thing and put new curb and gutter down in the places that need to be replaced?
I hear what you're saying, Dick, and I take Craig off a hot seat a little bit, right? We're not negotiating with Craig. And so this was
and actually, when you
No,
think,
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying, I want everybody out here to understand, we have to negotiate with NDOT to do that.
And I think that's why
know?
we commissioned this study, right? We wanted to get our hands around what would our real cost be. And I think, and you know.
and I think this provides NDOT some of those real costs as well, what they might see. Yeah, I know some of it's is the dream, the PED facilities and everything else, but we've provided the study to NDOT. I don't know if this is normal for communities to go through this level of detail, even and provide the information to NDOT. That's I think all part of the negotiations. You start discussing whether they give you the money to do it or they do it, right? I mean, that's ultimately it's negotiations.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's knowing what
I'm
you're
not trying to
taking
negotiate
on.
with Craig.
Okay.
Craig
No.
and I know what we're talking about and what we're trying to get to, but it's like, we need the public to understand that this is not a cheap thing to do.
No. Well,
And it's going to take time and effort and money for a long time.
I kind of wanted.
And I've been through relinquishments before, and it's like, what are you going to do for me? What are you going to do to encourage me to do it? You got to NDOT's got to do something to encourage me to do it.
Well, and I think that's what, we obviously all hear the complaints about the traffic on 39, a lot, right? And so I think us now we have a number said, well, it's at least $55 million to fix it, right? And so what's the extent of the problem? And so I think this was to help us understand the financial cost and scope of to make it quote unquote work, right? This is what we think it needs.
And I ultimately think all of us, including NDOT, are all wanting the same thing, right? To get people from point A to point B safely. Right. I mean, it's not us against them or the city against them. It's what can we do collectively? And what is the best avenue, no pun intended, but what is the best avenue to get there? Is it through relinquishment? Some cities and communities have really weighted control over the monetary compensation. Others have said no, and then they've walked and not negotiated and just kept it a state road. So I mean, ultimately, this is a tool for both entities to have to discuss over rather than just hypotheticals of it's worth this much, right? So.
Ideally, if we could get a concession when federal aid applications come out, that we would get a guarantee that we're going to get one every year.
We
do our share.
talked about. We don't think that's feasible.
Yeah, our experience,
that's real hard to force NDOT to guarantee
that doesn't happen.
No. Yeah.
All right. Any final questions for Craig?
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, sir. There's a lot of good information, a lot for us to think about. So,
thank you all.
All right, move on to old business. First item up here is ordinance 2025-40. This is concerning pilot payment within the LEAP district. This is ordinance on second reading. I saw Jeff Jacob in the audience.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm here tonight with Sandra Morgan and Ed Basquill. The Utility Board is requesting, as we talked a couple weeks ago, a waiver of the pilot payment for the LEAP district until those bonds have been paid off. So that everyone is aware, Lebanon Utilities is a tax-exempt entity. Indiana code allows the city to require or impose a payment on tax-exempt entities for services, the use of roads and things like that as an offset of instead of paying a property tax. The utility has for a number of years, at least 10 years, made pilot payments for the civil rate district. And as you're also aware, in the last year or so, we segregated out and created the LEAP district and named the civil district for water and wastewater services. Because, the root behind that is to make sure that we are protecting the civil district ratepayers. Because Lebanon Utilities does not have the funds to make a pilot payment in the coming years to the city for the LEAP district. And this is for a number of reasons. One, as you're aware, there's been a significant amount of speed and volume of infrastructure installed in that area. And we don't have the customer base to collect those funds in order to build up enough to make a pilot payment to the city. And then that also, the rate structure, the pilot payment was not contemplated at that time as well. So at this time, the Utility Board has adopted a resolution recommending to the City Council that the city waive the pilot payment for the LEAP district only, not the civil district, until the LEAP bonds for the water and wastewater infrastructure has been paid. And that has come to you a unanimous resolution from the Utility Board. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know Sandra went through some numbers with you last time. We don't want to duplicate those, but she's also here to answer any questions specific to this issue.
Hey, Jeff, just to clarify, is this ordinance granting anything to the tenants in the LEAP district?
Oh, no, not at all. In fact, this is a issue specific to the utility in making sure that we're protecting the civil ratepayers, civil district ratepayers from having to make any sort of payment out there in the LEAP district for infrastructure and services out there because we don't have the customer base there yet. So it's in fact the opposite, Mayor.
So what would happen if we didn't adopt this ordinance?
Utility would I would defer to Sandra on the specifics, but the utility would have to have enormous rate increases on its civil rate district payers. And in order to attempt to fund the comparable pilot payment in the LEAP district.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions for Jeff?
Jeff and Sandra, I think at the last meeting, wasn't there a comment made that you could not charge this rate for pilot in the structural rate for the LEAP?
Yeah, so
Rates.
it was not that we could not, but the rate, because of the structure of the LEAP rate, it was extremely high. And with some assistance from the state and otherwise, and how the bond was created, that rate was whittled down to a more reasonable number. And so while the civil district is benefiting from that infrastructure and water and wastewater coming in and waste treatment, that's sort of built into the LEAP rate district, not the civil rate. So the pilot payment was not contemplated in the LEAP rate. And I don't know if that quite answers your question. Would you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
My other thought is that the bond's 25 years, correct? And the first 25 million, right, coming up from Citizens Water is to be completed in the next 5 years?
By 2031, sir, we'll have
6 years, something like that.
yeah, in about
So by the time that gets here, within 10 years, we'll have customers online, correct?
we do have some customers online right now, but it is nominal.
No, I understand.
But consumption, but absolutely, yes.
So I guess what I'm wondering is in 10, 15 years, could we go back and look at this ordinance to determine that there is enough funding to go ahead and pay a portion amount of pilot for what is there, for how much that is there, if the city wanted to at that time?
Absolutely, we would leave that to the city council's good discretions.
And those bonds can be retired prior to 25 years if there's a lot of customers using it, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're a lot of unknowns and we just don't know. But we do know right now is that this would be a significant impact to the civil district ratepayers. And we need some help, especially in the short term here.
Andrew, you have a question? No? Okay. Any other questions for Jeff or Sandra? No. Okay. Any public comment concerning ordinance 2025-40? Please come forward, state your name for the record, and keep comments to 3 minutes if possible. Thank you. Thanks.
No notice tonight, guys. Just some questions. I'm a little bit concerned because this contract came in front of you at the board for approval on November 10th. And then 2 weeks later, the utility board is back here and they're asking for a deferral. Sandra stated November 24th that she goes through these financials in April and May. So in April and May, she already knew that they were not going to be able to provide this payment. Is this a tax levy?
Is this a tax levy?
Yes. Is this considered a tax levy that they're asking you to forego taxes that they would normally be paying on this money?
They're a non-tax entity.
Okay.
So they make a pilot, which is a payment in lieu of taxes.
Okay.
So I would say, no, it's not a tax levy.
Okay. So it's not concerning to any of you guys that you were asked to sign a contract and 2 weeks later they're back asking for money, telling you that they don't have the money to pay the contract. To me, that is a contract without consideration that they brought in front of you guys, and it's a false contract. And it's unlawful that they asked you to sign a contract and then they come back 2 weeks later and they tell you, we don't have the money.
What contract are you referring to?
The wastewater and the water contract that was authorized. This is infrastructure that is being created for the LEAP district. This in no way is public purpose. This is for an economic development. You're using public money to support this. And now he's saying we don't have the money to pay for this.
Not quite what he's
Somehow
saying.
there is something that has gone on here. You've asked the Indiana Finance Authority to grant you money to come out of a Clean Water Act. You've started building the infrastructure, and now we don't have the money.
Do you think we should increase water rates on citizens of Lebanon to pay the city
First
back
off,
from
I did
utilities?
not want this economic development. You know that, and you've known that from the beginning. I have fought this from the beginning. This negatively affects me, so guess what? Yeah, I don't care if the citizens in town have to pay for it because I didn't ask for it. You've surrounded me on 3 sides of my property. You're out there stealing water right now with wells that have been drilled so that Orla can get started on construction. You are violating my well-being, my peace for your project. So yes, I do find a problem with they bring a contract in front of you and then 2 weeks later, they're back here and they're saying, we don't have the money. This right here, I've been sending you notices. You've been ignoring them. I've been trying to teach you. The people out there in the rural community, you may not represent us. We may not get to vote for you, but we have rights right here, guaranteed rights, 50 plus one of them. This is the Indiana constitutional rights. And it's really funny. I'm finding that a lot of people that sit on these boards and they take an oath and they swear that they are going to represent me. They are going to protect me. They are going to protect my well-being. It's not being done. You're servicing the corporations. You're servicing a commerce. That is what that water line is for. It's for a commerce. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments. Any additional public comment? Any other discussion? All right, Rob, actually, can you read it on second reading, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Council Ordinance 2025-40. Again, is an ordinance of this council regarding the payment in lieu of taxes or the pilot from the City of Lebanon Utilities in repealing Resolution 2010-07. As Jeff indicated, I won't go through all the details, but this council is going to find in Section 1 the waiver of the pilot for the LEAP districts. The City of Lebanon waives a requirement under the original pilot resolution requiring the utility to make any pilot payment derived from the rates and charges of the LEAP water and LEAP wastewater districts only, effective immediately upon passage of this ordinance. Upon full repayment of the bonds funding the utility infrastructure servicing the LEAP district, the pilot payments for the LEAP district shall be collected. Council elects to receive pilot payments from the utility under this ordinance, except as waived in Section 1 above, and the utility shall make all such pilot payments, including electric, telecommunications, and the civil water and civil wastewater districts, to the city's general fund. Pilot payments described in Section 3 shall be transferred annually to the City of Lebanon General Fund. The original pilot resolution of this council is hereby repealed and declared to be of no further force and effect, and this ordinance shall become effective upon passage by this council and is under Indiana law.
Thank you, Rob. Any final comments, thoughts from council? Sandra?
Yeah, could I, because you stated that the LEAP district wasn't, the citizens of Lebanon, the civil district was not protected by this. Where is that at? Because when we agreed to all of this initially, I asked 100 times that the citizens of Lebanon would not have to pay higher rates. I don't know where that's at that shows that if we don't do this, they will get charged with this. So would you please tell me where it's at?
Well, I think there's several things working in conjunction here in concert. Number one was the utility board and then this council adopting an ordinance specifying two different rate districts for water and wastewater. So we created a wastewater district and water district for those two, and that really was a culmination of a lot of effort from the utility board and city council, making sure that the civil rate district payers were protected from rates and charges that were influenced by by LEAP users and that infrastructure. So that's number one. Number two, what you're referencing is what we were asking is something that's in the alternative. So what we're suggesting is that the utility doesn't have, if there is a payment made. So keep in mind, number one, by law, the utility is a tax exempt entity, and they don't pay those taxes by law. The city imposes a pilot payment, and there's an old ordinance that predated the LEAP district by a decade or so that imposed a charge for infrastructure that the utility owned and operated in making a pilot payment. Well, as things have matured here, what we're doing is trying to segregate that out and in fact protect the civil ratepayers from paying any sort of pilot payment for LEAP since we don't have the users there. So what I'm suggesting to you is that if the city council says, yeah, you have to make the pilot payment, then the utility is going to have to come up with funds somewhere. It has one user in the LEAP district right now, and I would suggest to you that the way that the utility would raise funds to do that would be to raise rates. And it only has the civil district and the LEAP district to do that with one user in it. To effectively do that would cause a large rate increase.
And to do that, if they had to come up with it, could they get a loan themselves and pay it? Because I remember, Jeff, you specifically told me that the civil rate would be protected.
Well, that's what we're doing.
But no. You're saying we have to waiver this. We have to give them this waiver, or they'll have to pay the civil district. So I don't agree with that.
Who do you mean by them? When you say we're waiving this for them, who do you think we're waiving it for?
For the utilities.
Okay, because we're not
Because
waiving
I
for the
feel-
users.
The whole project is for the public good.
Quiet.
Ma'am,
Quiet.
the city owns, I just want to be clarified, right? The city owns the utilities, right? So they're a city-owned entity.
But if we make contracts for things, don't we have to pay for them? And if we didn't, what would happen? Because I feel like, again, like she had stated, and I said this before at our last meeting, they should have known. Why didn't we prepare for this? It was there in front of them, and especially in their spreadsheets and everything they do. So I don't agree with any of this, with us having to waiver 25 years of this payment. And that's all. That's why I said I'm done. I've already brought up all this. I'm not going to beat a dead horse.
Well, if
but I don't
you
agree with
want water and wastewater rates to go up on citizens in Lebanon, then you would vote against this ordinance.
And that's exactly, I'm going to vote against it, but I don't want that. And I was promised, I was told
That's what,
that would
so,
not happen.
so by you doing that, that's what you're saying you want to happen.
No, I don't. But I was told that the civil rates would not be affected. And I didn't know that they had it somewhere else, that they would be affected if we didn't waiver this. Who's to say we don't get a waiver every single time they owe us? No, that's what I said. I'm done, but I'm against it, and I'm not going to change my vote.
It's fine. Any additional comments or questions? Okay. With that, we'll entertain a motion concerning ordinance 2025-40.
I make a motion we approve ordinance 2025-40.
Motion approved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Dick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No,
Okay, ordinance passes 5-1. All right, next item up here will be ordinance 2025-41. This is a designated outdoor refreshment area for consideration by city council. This is also on second reading. Rob, I'm going to have you read this on second reading, and then we'll have Missy kind of give a quick reintroduction quickly for the.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Council Ordinance 2025-41 again, is an ordinance of this council establishing a designated outdoor refreshment areas, or what's defined as DORA. Pursuant to Indiana Code, the city may establish one or more designated outdoor refreshment areas, again known as DORA or DORAs, defined in this ordinance, for the purposes of permitting a person to exit a licensed premises of a designated permittee or vendor with not more than 2 open containers of alcoholic beverages at a time, consume the alcoholic beverage within a DORA. The creation of the DORAs allows Indiana cities and towns to establish such a designated area for the purposes described in order to enhance downtown revitalization, economic development, and support local businesses. It also provides cities and towns a mechanism to further regulate and administer the consumption of alcoholic beverages at outdoor events already permitted under Indiana laws. Pursuant to the act, to establish one or more DORAs, the council must adopt an ordinance that meets the requirements set forth under Indiana law, and it may adopt certain other provisions regarding the operation of DORAs. This council has determined that the establishment of a DORA in accordance with the terms set forth herein is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan and unified development ordinance. Therefore, this council finds as follows. It incorporates in section 1 the requirements under Indiana law. Section 2 discusses the total number of designated outdoor refreshment areas, and this council does hereby authorize the establishment of a DORA with the potential to establish a total of 7 DORAs in and throughout the city, as allowed by law. Section 3, the revocation of designated outdoor refreshment areas. The city may at any time amend, revoke, or alter the DORA. Section 4 discusses the Lebanon downtown designated outdoor refreshment area. The area depicted in Exhibit A attached to this ordinance is designated as the Lebanon downtown designated outdoor refreshment area, or the Lebanon downtown DORA. And the boundaries are set forth therein. Again, it's attached as Exhibit A. This council finds that the establishment of the Lebanon downtown DORA and other DORAs is consistent with the City of Lebanon's Unified Development Ordinance. Section 6 discusses the DORA logo and signage. And Section 7, again, discusses the district boundary signage. Section 8, just to repeat what we discussed at the last meeting, hours of operation. The city's downtown DORA described in Section 4A shall be in effect Thursday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. and on Saturday from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. prevailing local time. Section 9 addresses the designated permittees. And again, this addresses, once approved by the city, applications need to be sent or shall be sent to the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. And that is a separate approval process. Section 10 discusses the proposed designated permittees of the Lebanon downtown DORA. Again, we talked about those. That is Katie Chop House, LLC, or 1830 Chop House, Boone County Cake Company, 12-05 Distillery, or the Four Finger Distillery, and Clues Bruce. Any additional licensed permittees not listed in here who desire to be, there's a process to go through that. Section 11 addresses vendors. Again, Section 12 discusses signage requirements. Section 13 discusses the right of refusal. And Section 14, which was addressed, is the permitted amounts. Even though Indiana statute allows 2 containers, this ordinance is limited to just 1 open container of an alcoholic beverage at a time. Section 15 addresses the authorized containers. Section 16 is the outdoor dining exception. Section 17 addresses carryout businesses. And Section 18 addresses the prohibition of outside beverages. And again, this ordinance shall be in effect in accordance with Indiana law.
Rob, I'll turn it over to Missy from the Heart of Lebanon. Just give a quick review.
All right, Missy Krulik with the Heart of Lebanon. I know we've been talking about this for 20 months now, just really trying to inform everybody, meeting with everyone we could meet with to try to come up with some type of compromise where we could be able to put this tool in our business's toolbox to be able to use this for some economic development of the downtown. And I feel like, we've reached out to everyone, gave it 110% effort. So I appreciate the council's consideration for this. And I just want to keep it brief because I know we have some of the small businesses here today that would like to talk to you about this. So.
Are there any questions for Missy at this time from council?
Yes.
Consider.
I had asked previously if you had talked to the commissioners, the Boone County commissioners, and gotten their approval for this. And at that time, you hadn't spoken to them. Have you since?
Scott Pell was at the last meeting, and he had spoke that he would be okay with it. And I've also spoke with the county director and not had any opposition to it.
I had Tim Byer. He sent me so I think we need their approval or whatever on a vote before we can even go forward because they do own the property. And Commissioner Byer did send me this and shows where they own and out. You can see this. I can hand it down to all of you guys. You can look at it. So I just want to make sure the county approves too.
Rob, from a legal perspective, do we need county approval for this?
I don't believe we do need county approval for this ordinance.
Thank you, Rob. I believe they actually have leased all the way up to the inside of the courthouse wall as our last part of our 25-year lease agreement with them based on the downtown plan as well. We own, or we now have control of the sidewalk on the inner ring of the courthouse because they leased it to us.
I believe that is accurate as well.
I think if they were, I would think if they were, I guess that they could put something up to ask people to stay on
They could, yeah.
if they wanted to, but I'm kind of looking at it. Property. So, I would think if they wanted to, they could have all the right they wanted to put something up and ask people to stay off the lawn. You know, they could do that. But I'm like you, I think we have rights to the back of the wall because we put the wall up and the sidewalk. And so the sidewalk and the wall is pretty much our responsibility right now. So
That's correct.
But yard is theirs. If they don't want people in the yard, they could put a sign up saying no trespassing, I guess.
Any other questions for Missy from the council?
No, sir.
Thank you, Missy.
Are we going to open it up?
Yeah, I'm going to have public comment now. Yep. This time, we're going to have public comment on ordinance 2025-41. If you have public comment, please come forward, state your name for the record, and keep comments to 3 minutes if possible.
Good evening, council. My name is Rob Crawford. I've met with many of you over the last several months. We launched the investigation into this project in early 2024. And being an investor in the community, I own 2 properties on the square and co-own a business on the square, and then have several other properties within the community. And I thought this was a great opportunity to, again, put a tool in the toolbox to help make, or give Lebanon that opportunity to, as a destination opportunity. Not so much as how to promote a party or some of the other negative aspects that the stigma that follows that. You look at it, there's 46 doors in Indiana now. A lot of the business and city leaders that I spoke with during that period of time of doing this investigation, and as we collaborated on what made sense for the community to put this together, there was a lot of great input. There was a lot of positive input, and I didn't get a lot of negative vibes from or negative input from the city leaders of that nature. One of the things that I thought was really important to me, I come across this during my early homework on this. There was the state representative Shane Lindauer, and he was quoted as saying the goal of this bill is to boost tourism and hopefully attract younger Hoosiers to our communities. The bill strikes a balance between being responsible and giving locals more tools to encourage economic development and opportunities. And I thought that was really, that's good heart for what we're trying to achieve here. So as you consider this ordinance for how it affects the community and the downtown businesses, I'd invite you to keep that in mind. But I support this and moving forward. So thank you.
Thanks, sir. Further public comment?
Good evening, council. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Brady Martin. I've spoke in front of you guys not the last reading, but the time before that when we first presented this. Like I said, my name is Brady. I am the general manager and I'm a local business owner here in town of 1830 Chop House. Before coming to Lebanon, I also partnered in a local establishment in Lafayette. I'm a Lafayette resident, so I can't say I live here in Lebanon. But I was a establishment owner there before DORA and during when we put DORA in place. I want to speak to you tonight, not with theory or guesswork, but with real outcomes. When Lafayette implemented their DORA, 2 major things happened. Foot traffic increased consistently, people stayed downtown longer, and they visited more business in one outing. Not just a bar, not just a restaurant, they went to actual establishments. I was one of the bars and restaurants down there, but they did visit other establishments, and I know that because I was involved in the community. The other thing that happened was community engagement. Events became more exciting. Guests felt free to stroll, explore, and connect. It created a lively, walkable environment, the kind that makes a downtown magnetic. Here in Lebanon, we are working hard to bring people into our downtown. At 1830 Chop House, we experience driven dining and nightlife. But right now, once guests are done with dinner or drinks, they just leave. They don't go to any of the shops. They don't go anywhere else. They have no reason to. It extends the time spent in the district by about 30 to 60 minutes per guest, and that is per a Lafayette study. Addressing common concerns, people always want to point out that people are going to get drunk and hang out downtown. Well, you're naive if you think they don't already. I promise you, every public event that is hosted, somebody has a container full of alcohol. You're just giving the community an opportunity to better police it, better bring it out into the open instead of hiding it. I feel like I have a better stance on speaking of this as somebody that's actively been a part of a DORA and lived in a community that has a DORA than most of the people here, just because we don't have one currently. And I'd be more than willing to answer any questions about our business or the kind of community that we have down in Lafayette that would maybe help enlighten the council.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you're the sole owner for the Chop House?
I'm not the sole owner, no. I have 4 partners.
4 partners. Was one of the partners that just spoke prior to you? And is he on the Heart of Lebanon committee also?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. All right. And do you feel like you'll gain money or gain profit from
I don't
this?
think we'll just gain money. I think we'll gain real experience. And the biggest thing with a restaurant in general, I think Patrick can speak to this, is you get one customer in, and the biggest goal that you want is to create a guest, not a customer. You want that person to come back to your place of business. And I think that's what we'll gain out of this. Because right now if I'm going down to Lebanon just to come to the Chop House, there's no other reason for me to go anywhere. But if I can buy a drink and then stroll on down to Indiana Gifts, or maybe even just cruise on over to Four Fingers because they're participating in it too, and I want to check out that atmosphere, I think creates a real reason to do so. I'm not going to lie, there is profit involved. I mean, my restaurant in Lafayette saw a 22% increase in profits when we implemented DORA. That's a real number.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger though than Lebanon.
It is.
It is.
I mean, by population, 100%, but the downtown area is very similar. It's a one drag strip. You don't really go anywhere else.
Where did people go to other shops after they left you?
In Lafayette?
Yeah.
So my establishment was on the very end of it. We were the last ones implemented into the DORA. So a lot of times when people start, they start with us. So it's really nice, actually. So they'll go from us, and then there's right around the corner, we sit right off of the actual square itself. So right around the corner, there's a candy shop. There is a jewelry store. There is a couple of boutiques. And I know the boutique ladies, they saw a huge increase themselves.
What kind of hours was that?
When we first started, it was only 5 to 9. I believe now it is 4 to 10, but please don't quote me on that exactly. I do know that they increased the hours though after, I believe it was a 6-month period.
Other businesses increased their hours?
I mean, my business did for sure. I believe that 2 of the boutiques extended their hours by 2 hours, but I was strictly talking about the DORA hours that were allowed. But yes, local businesses did stay open later, and they still do to this day. And I think that's a huge thing. I mean, right now, most businesses on the square Monday through Thursday close at 9. There's no other reason to go downtown. So, I mean, I just think all the way around, it's a good way to bring people out in the community.
Lafayette, is that the street north, on the north side of the square?
In Lafayette?
Yeah.
So, shame of me not know the actual street name we sat on.
West, I can't tell you the number.
We'd be west. We were on the west side of the square. So if you're familiar where Brew Burger is or Red 7, we're right in that area.
Been a while since I've been.
I'm horrible with street names, so I do apologize.
Look at the place, but I get to you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Any additional public comment? You've earned your pace, sir. Don't worry about it.
name is Russell Roberts. I moved to Lebanon in 1960, took over a business here, and been in operation for about 50 years. And we're sold, and that property now is, all the buildings are gone, and new ones are put up there in its place. So things have changed in the time I first came to Lebanon. And I just want to express my feelings about what you're about to do here tonight to put this law in effect. Seems like I read the article in the Reporter. The first thing I knew about it, what was going on, and it's a little hard for me to hear what's going on tonight, hear everybody clearly what's happening, but I hear a lot of it. But the thing that impressed me most when I read that article was how we treat the square here in Lebanon. It's public property. It's not private property. So when we talk about putting things happening on the square, it's the public is interested in what's going on there. The public should be free to be a part of anything that goes on there. And when you block off the square and isolate it for certain people, those who are going to be drinking, nobody else can go in there unless they got a pass over 21 or got a card or something lets them in. All the youth and the young people are blocked out, and it's supposed to be a city for everybody. And I just don't see, I appreciate very much the comments that Sandra had to make there. And I'm going to repeat those because they express my views pretty clearly. I didn't bring my glasses, so it'll be time to read. Why are we so excited about moving forward with all the drinking? It seems like every event we have, why don't we come up with something else? Seems everything we plan down there is around drinking, and not everybody in town needs that in their lives. But I think you have to make a place for everybody. Now, if somebody wants to drink, they can go to a tavern, and there's other places in town to buy alcohol. They can drink at home. They like to do that. I don't have anything against what they do. I don't want to tell them what they can do or can't do. That's a choice. That isn't mine, but it's a choice people make. And I think the city has to consider that when they're making laws and rules, how it's going to affect other people in the city. And I'm especially concerned about the youth and young people, not my generation. I'm not going to be around here much longer. I'm 101. And I don't expect I'll be around too many more years. But so it isn't my future I'm talking about. But my future is for the young people and the youth in this community. What are we teaching them? What kind of models are we for them when we have to put everything centered on alcohol? We know what effects it can have on some people. Other people can maybe handle it and have a time to have fellowship with others while they're doing it. But there's others that don't need it and don't particularly want it. But if you're going to make it isolated, applying here in Lebanon, but that's just, people can walk around freely with a cup of alcohol in their hand. I think that's a ridiculous thing. In fact, I think the whole law, the Torah law is kind of a bad law because it encourages people to drink alcohol. I could say a lot more, but we don't have to take time to do that. I just want you to know how I feel about it. I'm a citizen of Lebanon. I've lived here for 65 years, and I just think I've got some investment here in this town, and I think it's a beautiful city, beautiful town. I love to live here. I'm so pleased with the neighborhood we live in. It's quiet and peaceful. Have good neighbors all around us, and we just are happy to be a citizen of Lebanon. But over the years I've lived here since 1960, I've seen a lot of things happening in Lebanon and are happening right now so fast and rapidly, it's almost hard to conceive it, what's happening. But we do have to be aware of what decisions we're making and how it's going to affect the rest of the people here in this city. Thank you.
Leave your comment, sir.
Thank you.
Additional public comment?
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the event coordinator for the Heart of Lebanon. I've heard several times it mentioned that we have so many events downtown that have alcohol. Why can't we have any events without alcohol? We had over 35 events this year, and none of the events that the Heart of Lebanon hosted had alcohol at them. So I just wanted to clarify that. I know, like I said, that misconception is out there, but I know other events or other organizations hold events downtown, but we did have over 35 of them this year that did not have alcohol at them. So,
Thank you for comments. Additional public comment?
Good evening, Council, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is John Kim. My wife and I own Boone County Cake Company here in Lebanon and also live here in the beautiful city of Lebanon. We also serve on the board of Heart of Lebanon as well. Our bakery has become a gathering place for young families, mothers, fathers, grandparents, toddlers, and school-aged children who feel comfortable in the environment that we've been able to create. We've worked incredibly hard to create a space that feels safe and joyful, and we guard that knowing how important that is to us, but also the families that we call customers and friends. I want to say it clearly tonight, if I believed that Adora would threaten the family-friendly environment, the atmosphere that our business, our downtown has in any way, I would not be here standing for it. Even though we serve alcohol, we approach it very intentionally. Our menu is carefully curated and crafted to be enjoyed slowly and responsibly. We do not encourage overconsumption, and our customers trust that we retain those values and retain the environment that they cherish. The same philosophy is why I'm here to support a well-designed Dora and not one that is designed for another city. Because Dora in a conservative format actually gives us more control, not less. Right now, during events, busy weekends, people already walk around downtown with alcohol hidden in tumblers and other opaque containers. There are no boundaries, there's no visibility, and no way to know where a drink came from or who served it. Dora is the solution for that. The version that we bring in front of you is the most conservative in the state, to my knowledge. One drink per person, high visibility cups, business-specific stickers, clear boundaries, clear hours, and full enforcement of existing alcohol laws. This is not an open-ended invitation. This is structure, this is traceability, and it's protecting downtown's values and the environment that we hold dear. But beyond safety, there's an important truth that we also can't ignore. Lebanon is urgently in need of more restaurants, more entertainment, and more reasons for people to choose Lebanon. We're competing directly against cities like Westfield, like Carmel, Zionsville, Whitestown, and Brownsburg, cities who are established with amenities and attractions that retain and attract both residents as well as new businesses. When restaurant groups, small business owners, and investors evaluate where to open their next location, they look for signals that a community is growing, vibrant, and committed to supporting local communities and commerce. Programs like Dora, when done responsibly, are exactly the kind of signal that Lebanon is ready to step forward. What we're proposing is not a citywide transformation. It's a carefully monitored pilot involving only a handful of responsible participating businesses. We want to learn from it, we want to refine it, and we want to show how a conservative approach can be implemented with respect for our community's values. If problems arise, we will adjust. If it doesn't work at all, we just end it. But if we never try, we risk becoming a place where people work, but then immediately leave for dinner, for shopping, for entertainment, somewhere else. I'm asking for tonight that you support this thoughtful, conservative version of DORA so that we can test it, improve it, and give Lebanon the opportunity to become an even stronger and more welcoming place for families. Thank you.
Thank you for comments. Any questions for John? No, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Any additional public comment?
Good evening. I'm Mel McMahon. I'm a business owner here. I live in the heart of Lebanon, and honestly, I probably spend more time out and about downtown than I spend in my living room. I am here again to support DORA because this is not complicated. This is an economic development tool, and it works. Towns all around us are using it to increase foot traffic, boost sales, and make their downtowns feel alive. My 10-year-old and 6-year-old boys watching someone carry a legal beverage from Clues Brews at 125 North Meridian Street to Indiana Gifts at 101 East Main Street is not going to bring down the moral fabric of our society. It's not. A responsible adult with one drink isn't adding chaos, it's adding commerce. Honestly, that single-serve cup is probably the most predictable thing in our downtown. It's not dangerous, it's not expensive, and it's not going to overwhelm our trash cans. It is simply revenue. When people linger, they spend money. One of the number one rules of retail is the longer they stay, the more they spend. When they stroll, they spend. When they stay downtown, they spend. And this is not an opinion, this is data. Money spent here stays here. It supports our small businesses, our events, our jobs, and our tax base. As a resident in this district, I think it's very clear that DORA will not create chaos, it creates community. I already see the foot traffic, I see the families, the dog walkers, the events that we're transforming our downtown with. And DORA simply gives people permission to enjoy it a little longer, to visit a few more businesses while they do, and to choose to purchase from our restaurants instead of drinking the beverage they brought from home in their Yeti. Lebanon is growing. We are attracting new restaurants, new shops, new opportunities. Downtown businesses are outgrowing their spaces and actively looking for opportunities to stay in the heart. We should be the city that says, let's keep this momentum going, not the city that says, let's slow this down. Now, DORA isn't a magic wand, but it will help businesses stay open. It'll help us stay open longer, and it'll help new ones be more confident in investing here, and it'll keep more dollars in Lebanon instead of watching them drive to Zionsville or Carmel or Westfield for a night out. It's good for business, it's good for residents, and it's good for Lebanon. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any questions?
Quick question. Have you increased your hours?
It's the holidays, so right now my hours are increased, yes.
Okay, so just for the holidays, though?
If there's traffic downtown, we stay open. If there's special events downtown, we stay open. If there's more customers downtown, we'll be
Okay,
open.
typically, let's just take a summer month. Typically, when do you close?
Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, we are open 10 to 2. Thursdays and Fridays, we're open from 10 to 6.
So my question is, you're going to increase your hours with the DORA, correct?
If there are more people downtown, I will increase my hours. If DORA is one of the tools that keeps more people downtown, then I will increase my hours. I need more people downtown to increase my hours.
Sure, now I understand that. And I'm not saying that just because I put a DORA in that more people are going to come into your store. But what I'm hearing, and please, anybody correct me if I'm wrong, we're increasing alcohol sales.
Not necessarily. You're creating an environment where people can hang out longer and move around more. And maybe they're at Clues and maybe they have a beer and they want to just go walk around the square and see what else is there. If I have an opportunity to be open because there's more people walking around downtown, I'm going to be open. This is just a tool to make our community more attractive.
And I want to help you provide stuff that is going to bring people into your store. Very nice store, by the way.
Thank you.
My wife loves it.
Thank you.
But again, it just like the gentleman got up and said, 22% increase in alcohol. I don't know
that he was saying it was just
your
alcohol.
sales.
I'm not saying he was talking about his establishment, which is a bar. When we have more people downtown, we can stay open longer. You know, when we had, Christmas on the Square, we did almost as well as Shop Small Saturday, which Shop Small Saturday, that's the day for small businesses, right? That's our make or break us day. And to know that we had another day because we had so many people on the square that we could increase our hours and be there. We were open from 10 to 7. That was fantastic. If we just have more things that are going on, if we have more people downtown, we can increase our hours. Dora is a tool to do that. Like I said, it's not the magic wand, but it's not going to bother me if somebody's at Chop House and walks down to my store with a glass of wine and wants to go shopping while they're waiting for their party. That's not going to bother me.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any comments, questions from Mel?
But you will change your window display to make it more exciting. I'm not saying there's anything wrong. Well, don't wait, but I'm not saying there's anything wrong with
Dick, can I call you Dick?
But if Dora
What
starts.
does that
No,
have to do with Dora?
Wait a minute.
What does my window display have to do with Dora?
Well,
What will
wait a-
change is I'll
wait a
have a
minute,
sticker on my door that says, "You are welcome to bring your beverage in here."
Right, time out a minute. What I'm getting at is your windows, I'm not telling you to change your
Have you
window.
been to my store?
Time out a minute. Let me finish.
I'm just
Let me
asking. Have
finish.
you?
Let me
Okay,
finish.
go ahead.
I'm not telling you to change your window display.
You just did.
I'm not telling you to change your window display. I'm saying is that as Dora comes available, if it comes available and it works, whatever, the time that you're not there, people are going to be walking down the street window shopping.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
They do that now.
Yeah, and they do that now. They come by, walk by your store and window shop. So
But walk
you're-
by my store at 2
what
o'clock in the
I'm saying-
morning.
What I'm saying is that you're probably going to increase your window display so people could see more things of what you got and what you got in the back behind there. So they come back the next day to shop.
Dick, have you been to my store?
No, I have not.
Okay, thank you.
It doesn't fit me. But I've been by. I've driven
There's some
by.
really cool stuff in there, Dick. You probably would like.
You know what? It's okay. You're not my target market. It's okay.
Thank you, Mel.
I'm just saying, your window display is fine. I'm just saying.
You don't know what my window display looks like because you've never been to my store. My window display is actually beautiful, and I appreciate everybody that does come to my store. And I would like more people to come to my store, and I would like more people to be downtown to learn about my store if they don't already know it exists.
I'm not saying
Dora
there's
is a
any- I'm
tool
not
to
saying
let that
there's-
happen.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with your display. I'm just saying you'll probably add to it and make more things available to
I think yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Thank you for your comments, Mel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional public comment?
Okay, sorry. I have to read off of my phone because I love you all, but some of you have known me since I was a kid and you make me nervous. So, for those who don't know, good evening. My name is Megan Ferris, and I own Ferris Wheel Music, located currently at 103 East Main Street, right across from the Pocket Park and right next to Indiana Gifts. So, for those who don't know me, I grew up here in Lebanon, and I'm going to work on that side. Because more than once in my life, I had to choose whether to stay or to leave. And every time I chose Lebanon. I chose it when deciding where to raise my son, where to buy my house, where to start my business. And I lost my place. Told you I get nervous around some of you guys. Get me in front of thousands of people in an auditorium. I'm good. I can make a goof out of myself. But you guys have known me since I was a baby. So I was somewhere around here. Okay, I chose downtown specifically because I believe deeply in this community when I wanted my first physical location for my business. And I even named the shop after my family because so many people here remember the gas station my family ran. They went to school with a family member or they had my mom as a teacher. This community helped raise me. and now I get to give back through my small business. I'm going to take you on a little bit back to 20, 30 years ago when I was a kid. And the only time I got excited to go downtown was during Back to the 50s. I always heard about how alive downtown used to be, but I never saw that version of Lebanon until the past few years. And watching the square come back little by little has been incredible. Most mornings, I now even get to work early so I can walk around, visit friends, peek into shops, grab food. And if the weather was nice, you'd find Mel and I sitting outside Indiana Gifts talking. My son feels the same way. I love raising him here. He feels welcomed and safe in the downtown area. And you can actually usually find him walking down to Boone County Cake Company and begging me with my credit card. But that's proof of how family-friendly, walkable, and inviting our downtown has become. And I spend time here even when I'm not working because it's truly a place people are starting to want to be. And I won't even bring up all the music opportunities that are coming, but as I mentioned in the letter that Denise read at the previous meeting, one challenge remains. People stop at boundaries. They hesitate to cross a street or go past an event barricade, and even more when businesses are just a few steps away. Those invisible lines are limiting our business growth. Now, I study music, not business, so the past 2 years I've been learning, taking courses, listening closely to my community. My store grew from just lessons and classes to a full music store because people were asking for it. And I've been able to expand my hours slightly by demand. The more people, the more we can grow. And that's the same for Dora. The community is asking. I've heard concerns about trash and drinking and behavior, but as someone downtown every day, I'm sorry to say some of that's already there. I've picked up discarded wine bottles and little shooter bottles outside and at dumpsters. But with Dora, consumption becomes monitored and contained. But with truly most days, I love this community because people treat our downtown with respect, and they will continue to do so, even with Dora. So Dora is a tool, and it has real benefits. It's erasing invisible boundaries to help our small businesses and helping families stay together instead of splitting up or having to wait in separate spaces. At that same meeting, Denise read my letter. She pointed out that no one is being left out, that they can meet up across the way from different businesses. I lost my place again. I love it. Okay. It's keeping people moving and connecting and enjoying our downtown. This is what we want. We want that enjoyment. We don't want our downtown to die again. Any tool we have is needed. And I would gladly welcome someone bringing in a designated Dora cup to browse my expanding vinyl record section, jam out to music. I welcome it. For my own research, I actually visited some towns with Dora, including Lafayette, where the streets were lively, not because they were drinking, but for no other reason that people felt comfortable wandering. And I want that energy here. And while the loudest voices may be against it, so many others aren't. I've talked to them. They're steady, everyday voices, and they want this. They're excited for what this could mean for Lebanon, and the community wants this. Dora is that next step. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any additional public comment? You're good. Additional comment?
I'm Allison Bramblett. I'm a local resident, and I just want to share a story about an experience I had recently during a girls' weekend in a town that has a Dora. We had a plan to go to a restaurant for lunch, and based on reviews, we anticipated there would be a wait. But based off of past experience, when this happens, we just assumed we'd sit in the bar and have a drink or two while we waited for our table. When we arrived, of course, we were told it'd be a 30-minute wait and asked the hostess if we could sit in the bar, have a drink. And they said, yes, definitely grab a drink, but while you enjoy it, feel free to ask for a to-go cup and check out a couple of shops right next to you or right next to us. We each got a drink and a designated cup, walked out and enjoyed a few shops that were near the restaurant. I alone ended up finding some items in those shops and spent well over $100 just in a 30-minute window. And that was just what I purchased, not what my friends purchased. Should I have spent that money? Probably not. My budget was probably not happy with me, but it's fine. My friends and I are the ones who just aren't necessarily fans of sitting and just waiting. Instead, we had an opportunity to explore some local shops and give back to the local community in the way of taxes and supporting a local store owner, where those purchases may have been what made or broke them that month. Without the option of exploring the local shops presented to us, we would have more than likely sat and enjoyed 1 to 2 beverages while waiting, and then another 1 to 2 beverages during lunch. But because we had the opportunity to venture out, we all actually ended up drinking less. So it was really a win-win for everyone. We supported a local restaurant, a local boutique, a local antique shop, a local candy store, and did it all responsibly. So when considering your vote, please think of that experience and the opportunities we all have as locals to help our small business owners, local shops, restaurants, and our downtown to thrive.
Thank you for your comments. Additional public comment?
Hi guys, I'm Corey Coots. I am president of the Heart of Lebanon. However, I was asked to read a letter from a business owner that was not able to join us. This is from Brad Culver from Four Fingers. Dear council members, Four Finger Distillery would like to express our strong support for establishing a DORA district in Lebanon. We currently operate a location within the Westfield DORA, and our experience there has been overwhelmingly positive. The DORA has fostered a greater sense of synergy among local businesses, creating an environment where patrons are encouraged to explore and support multiple establishments in a single visit, particularly during the summer months. Importantly, we have not observed any increase in intoxication issues as a result of the DORA. In fact, the ability for patrons to walk to nearby restaurants and retail shops naturally creates pauses between drinks, which has contributed to more moderate consumption overall. In addition to the positive impact on our daily operations, the DORA has also made planning events significantly easier for local businesses. It provides a structured framework that helps streamline coordination and encourages community engagement. A DORA in Lebanon would bring new energy to the downtown area while establishing clear guidelines and necessary rules to ensure that all participants remain safe and responsible. We believe a DORA in Lebanon would deliver meaningful benefits to both businesses and the community, enhancing the vibrancy and economic activity of the area. Thank you for your consideration, Brad Culver, owner and four-fingered man.
Thank you, Corey. Additional public comment?
Hello, Denise Niblick, 919 Morningside Drive. I am the Vice President of Heart of Lebanon, and I will also be reading a letter from Erica Carpenter, who is the President of Main Street Zionsville. Heart of Lebanon is our Main Street organization in Lebanon. I'm writing to offer support for the creation of a designated outdoor refreshment area, DORA, in the city of Lebanon, and to encourage your approval of this forward-thinking initiative. As your neighbors in Zionsville, we have seen firsthand how a well-structured outdoor refreshment district can strengthen local businesses, activate downtown streets, and foster a safe and welcoming environment for residents and visitors. In Zionsville, our outdoor refreshment district has become a positive catalyst for business growth and community engagement. Retailers report increased pedestrian activity, extended customer visits, and greater cross-shopping as people feel encouraged to explore more of downtown. This kind of organic foot traffic is invaluable for small business and districts, and Lebanon is perfectly positioned to experience these same benefits within your historic core and growing downtown area. Equally important, DORA districts create a safe, regulated, and well-managed environment for responsible outdoor enjoyment. By establishing clear boundaries, adopting standardized containers, and requiring participating establishments to hold appropriate permits, Zionsville has seen an orderly, family-friendly atmosphere prevail during both everyday operations and special events. Lebanon has an opportunity to create an exceptional, people-centered environment that benefits businesses, enhances tourism appeal, and provides a safe, enjoyable experience for families and visitors. Based on our experience, the DORA framework is a proven tool that can help accomplish these goals. Thank you for considering this initiative and for your ongoing commitment to the economic vitality and community spirit of Lebanon. Sincerely, Erica Carpenter, President, Main Street, Zionsville. I also timed that, and I think I still have a minute, so Denise Niblick is now going to speak a little bit. I just wanted to speak on the 22% increase in sales, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. That's not necessarily like the same 10 people went in and ended up buying more alcohol, and I'm sure his data actually, he could speak to that. It's the increased foot traffic. Because I think what you've heard before just from this experience, it's not actually alcohol sales that we are expecting to see a big increase on. quantity of people coming in, I think you're going to see more people, so you see more sales naturally with that. But one of the most important things we can do to understand how alcohol has impacted you once you've had a drink is to get up and walk around, is to take time to feel how that's impacted all of your faculties. So it's actually a really important tool for people to be able to walk around and take a minute to see how they are and what their functions are before getting behind the wheel. And I know there's been a lot of rhetoric about this, and there's a lot of what ifs, and I think fear is a very natural place for us to go with something new. But what's been incredible about Lebanon is that we have been patient for this DORA. There are over 45 DORAs already in existence. Zionsville's alone has been active for the past year. So I think when you make decisions like this, it's important to look at the data, the research. We presented this back in June and had time to visit places. We've had time to talk to business owners and a lot of law enforcement in other places. So taking into account more of that data and the research that we know, we haven't had any negative feedback from that, is what we want to look at foundationally here. Because the what if, we've done really solid parameters and had great conversations with a lot of you to make sure that we've put very strict boundaries on this to begin with. So that's all I need to say. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Additional public comment?
I'd like to make one comment, if I could.
Yeah, sure.
The Zionsville location, do you know how many locations they have signed up?
I do not.
They have they have 12.
I really like Lebanon, so I'm not super into Zionsville. I just read the letter on her behalf. She wasn't able to be here. But they have increased their DORA. They started with kind of a smaller, more conservative time frame, and I know that they've increased it since then. So from what I've seen, when I go ask participants that are in DORA, like Noblesville DORA, is that they've only seen benefits to that, mostly from that exact scenario where you don't have to sit at a bar, and when you're sitting at a bar, you're back to back, right? Versus taking time to go linger other places.
Just to clear it, Zionsville does have 12 locations signed up in their DORA, and they have a lot more retail that are open later and a lot more restaurants than we have downtown. We have 4 locations that are signed up in our DORA, and all 4 of them are bars or restaurants that serve drinks.
Oh, that's actually, so just real quick, that's not exactly true. So we do have, one is a restaurant, one is a distillery, one is a brewery, and one is the most delicious cake you'll ever have in your life.
And
So,
but
but
all
that's
4
not a
serve
bar,
liquor.
that's not a brewery,
Okay,
right?
I'm sorry, I
Their
worded
main,
it wrong.
well,
but
that's okay,
they all
but
serve liquor, so
those are
they'll
very
be-
important distinctions with our words
Okay.
that we use. So,
Thank you.
yes.
Now, the other thing is with Westfield, the other thing, they have 2 DORAs, and that was with the person before you. And they have 10 downtown, 10 locations downtown, and 1 at the Grand Central Sports Complex. So they, again, have more than we do. We don't have that much open in the evening. And then Carmel has 22 locations signed up in their DORA. So I just wanted to make that for the record so that everybody knows, because Lebanon, we have 4 signed up. Now, not to say that we won't get more later if this goes through. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we are not those cities. We are Lebanon. And
Hey, Sandra, how many did Tipton have?
I didn't check with Tipton.
Okay.
I checked
Greensburg
with the
has
ones-
2.
They've never been brought, they're always bringing up these, so I checked with these.
So Greensburg that we just visited, Main Street, to learn specifically about how they have their DORA, they have 2.
Okay.
And they're shops. Like, so when you're saying participants, you're saying the people who have been trained in order to be able to serve alcohol and have permits for that. And we want those people to be super responsible because they're the ones who are watching the people, right? But the participants are all of the people who decide to change their hours because there's been an increase in foot traffic. So I guess my question is where I'm not fully understanding where your bind is for it exactly, because you're naming places that have way more citizens to pull from, and that's not really apples to apples. So my question is, like, are you excited for growth or not excited for growth? Because the hope for this is that we can grow and have extended hours and support these businesses to have people employed later hours. That's our whole goal here.
I'm excited for growth, but I'm not excited for drinking to get there. And I'm also, I'm just not I'm not for that. I think that the Heart of Lebanon had 35 functions without liquor. I love that. And I think they could have 35 more, and we'd have just as many people attend even if we didn't have DORA.
Is your concern that if you
I'm not
pass a
here to argue
DORA,
with you or to even answer that. I made what I wanted to make up here. I wanted to let you know about these and bring up the cities that you're comparing us to and how many locations they have against what we have.
Just a public comment?
To answer the question, Zionsville has 13 permittees that serve alcohol. So that's the language. Permittees are the ones that serve alcohol.
Thank you, Mel. Any additional public comment? Okay. Oh, sorry. Got to be like I was.
Some of you know me. I managed a El Mesón Mexican restaurant for years and years and years. I don't live in the community, but I practically do because I only go home to sleep, take a shower, and come back here to work. I no longer work there. I'm about to open a restaurant here at the Square, and I think that this is a good opportunity for growth to draw in more businesses. I'm excited to say, Lebanon's about to explode. They're going to grow. We have a lot of big businesses that are coming in, like Eli Lilly, which are going to drive more people to move here with the infrastructure that is going to be built around there. And I think it's a good thing that this is going to be a regulated thing. It's going to be policed. It's not going to be something that is just going to be like, here, take your drink and go. It's not a negative thing, I think. So businesses are going to come in. You want those businesses to thrive, I suppose, right? I guess I don't know how to word it. This is a positive thing for everybody because it increases foot traffic for all the businesses around the Square. And it brings more people to Lebanon as a destination because you're going to have businesses that are not in other cities, that are here in Lebanon. So more money comes in, more stays here, more people come, more businesses come. I just really think it's a really positive thing. I wasn't prepared to come up here and speak, but, I'm trying to just go with the flow. And, all these other cities that are doing it, Zionsville is very conservative, very conservative. They're so conservative that you have to go structural to what they say. Like, for example, the Dairy Queen over there is like the only design that they have and is in Zionsville because that's how we're allowed to build it, right? So for them to have a DORA, I think it speaks volumes on how it's going to affect the community positively, not negatively. All right. So any questions?
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Any additional public comment?
Hello, Patrick Clues. I'm the owner, founder of Clues Brews. I'm also the owner, co-founder of Backroom Cigar Bar, Lounge, and Shop that's coming soon. I also have many, many more businesses I want to open in Lebanon. I'm here today to support DORA ordinance. As a business owner, I'm proud to say that Clues Brews has maintained a perfect ATC compliance record since we've opened. And I've supported the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Olympics of motocross event in Crawfordsville just a few months ago. I've served probably 400,000 people a year, alcohol, across the state of Indiana. So we take the responsibility of service very seriously in my company. We are committed to supporting a safe and well-managed DORA district. A designated outdoor refreshment area isn't just convenience, it's an economic driver. It keeps people in downtown longer, increases the foot traffic for local shops, strengthens Lebanon's growing reputation as a vibrant destination. Let's not forget, every visitor, every meal purchased in our downtown contributes to the city's 1% food and beverage fund. I, as a business owner, contribute a lot to that fund. A busier, more walkable downtown means more revenue directly supporting Lebanon's growth, infrastructure, and community services. I urge everyone here to support this ordinance and help us continue to thrive in the downtown.
Patrick? Additional public comment? No? Closing thoughts, comments from council?
I have some more questions for Missy. The last time you were here, and it might have been the time when you were just talking about it. I don't know if it was the first reading or time before. It was brought up, I think Dick was the one that asked about the extra trash cans and who's going to be responsible for that and how many there's going to be, and who is going to be in charge of all that. Who's responsible for that?
I think that's in the ordinance. We were able to get a Boone County Solid Waste District grant for the cups to cover that cost. And I know that we have some trash cans available in the city that aren't being utilized. They're in a storage area. So those could be utilized as well. I don't think that these DORA districts, and what we've been told from other districts, they generate a lot of trash. It's not like an event that you're overflowing the trash cans constantly because they're so full of cups. So I think in the ordinance, it states that the city will take care of the trash cans just like they do in the downtown. Our downtown is expanding, our footprint is expanding, and I don't think that the DORA district is outside of what our district is expanding to. It's just the 9 blocks radius and then down to Main Street because they asked to be part of this ordinance.
And all the way down to Indianapolis Avenue, correct?
Yeah, because we have businesses down there that specifically asked to be added to this ordinance so that they could participate. They wanted to be a part of it.
And as far as insurance or liability, if anything happens in that district because of drinking, who's liable? The last person that, is it the last person that served?
Patrick, can you come to the microphone to answer?
Like Cluesbridge, for instance, we have a $5 million liability policy. And that was a new requirement with the current law that permits DORA. So every restaurant, every permittee that's selling is part of it. Actually, it's required for anybody. If you have an alcohol permit in the state of Indiana now, you're required to put the state of Indiana on your COI. And there's I don't know the exact limit, but like we carry a $5 million policy.
So if they're carrying, and I'm just asking, so if they're carrying one of your drinks in that DORA cup and they go walk down the street and something happens to them, so you're still liable at that point?
It depends. It depends on what exactly you're referring to is going to happen.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure this out because
I'm not a
the city
lawyer.
doesn't need to take on any more liability as far as I'm concerned.
If someone trips and falls on the sidewalk today, we get sued, whether they have an alcohol cup or not.
That's going to happen again with DORA.
It's going to happen regardless.
Okay. And permitting, this is for Missy again. The permitting, because I looked at, I don't know if you did Casey Sampson's email, I'm sure you did.
No, did not.
Did not?
Did not.
Okay. Well, he was talking about permitting on his and that it was going to make it very restricted for anybody. Now, I don't know this, I'm just asking. Make it very restricted for anybody else that even wanted to do anything in that area. They had to go through a lot of hoops to even serve anything or whatever. I'm trying to find his.
They have to fill out an application.
I mean, this can be really blunt here, but if you read the law, you would see all of this. There's a process in the law that tells you how they go about that. So yes, that the board would have control of who is allowed to serve in that area. And they'd have to come before the Board of Works and get approval for that. That's correctly the ordinance how it's stated. So no, it's not that way. And you have to do that anyways now. I mean, nobody can just walk up and sell beer on the side of the road. There's permits that have to be filed. You have to go before the Board of Works to get approval. So, I mean, there's really no change. It's actually, in my opinion, better.
It's more formalized. And,
Correct.
Yeah,
It's a lot more
it's actually
formalized.
versus hey, can we get on the agenda for this? It's more of a formal
If it was,
process.
if it was easier, I would be against it. I mean, my business wouldn't benefit if, a beer truck could come sit in front of my business.
And do we have to have additional insurance for this DORA district? Does the city have to have additional insurance since we have this? No? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. And if you have let's say we have an event in that district, am I allowed to bring in my own cup of water? Or in a Yeti or anything? Am I allowed to carry that in?
You bring in your own water.
Well,
Yes, you
or
cannot bring in
Gatorade or
any
whatever.
alcoholic beverages.
Okay, so if I have my Yeti and I've got water in it or Gatorade, how do you know that I don't have alcohol in that?
I don't know how I know if you don't or do have alcohol in it now.
So what do we do to ensure? Because I know you're wanting to, like you said before, you're wanting to restrict it so that people can't bring alcohol in that area.
Well, there's more signage, there's more rules in place. So every time you enter the Dora district on that sidewalk, you'll see a sign, no alcohol permitted within this area. People will also generally know that there's more, people are looking out for it in that area. When you know someone is paying more attention, you're less likely to break the rule, right? If we have on Waze and we know there's a cop up ahead, what are we going to do? We're going to slow down because we know there's a cop up ahead. A DORA district provides more restriction, more regulation, and there's signage that says that. So generally, people are more conservative when they know that they're coming into a restrictive area.
Plus, if you can buy a drink and have it down there, you don't have to bring your own stash.
Exactly.
Maybe I don't want to pay for it.
You did, because you already paid for it.
That's the job.
Well,
My own.
That's the job for the police department.
I'm just saying. Who's going to
That guy's
monitor
going to bring it
that?
in anyway.
I'm just saying, I have all these questions on this and I would like answers and I'm not going to,
Well, I think we're doing our best to answer them for you, Sandra.
okay.
And, any other comments, John?
So if it's that good for business, why don't we just make it citywide and let everybody benefit?
because DORA
all the
doesn't allow
businesses?
that. DORA allows certain areas, and that's where the state came up with, the Indiana Alcohol Tobacco Commission came up with the DORA project. So you don't do it citywide. It's not, that's
So
how
do
not.
we have to restrict it to this little teeny area? We can't make it
They can
bigger?
expand it.
Well, then why
depending
don't
on
we
the
do
size of
that
the
to let
city.
everybody in?
You're allowed up to 7 DORA districts per the law, 7 DORA districts within a city.
And it wouldn't make sense to have a DORA that is in front of houses. And I mean, you make it in central business districts.
No, I meant in the business district. We have other
Okay.
businesses, other ways, not just right there.
I
I'm just
mean,
asking, I'm just being
if other
sarcastic.
businesses wanted to organize and said, hey, we really need a DORA here up at, I don't know, behind the Culvers, they could do that, I guess. Nothing would prohibit that. John, you had comments?
Yes. Number one, I'd like to thank the people, the business owners that came here today to speak. They're talking about their businesses. They're talking about downtown Lebanon, areas that they represent, and I appreciate that very much. I'd like to also thank the people associated with the city that's put the time and effort in to researching this and getting this up and going, making the presentation. We have to listen to you. You're the people that have the businesses downtown. You're the ones that make it work. So we have to listen to you. I look at it this way, of anybody up here, sorry, Rob, but I think I'm the toughest sell up here.
Yep.
Because I worked for the Enforcement Division, for the ATC for 40 years. I've seen it all in 40 years. And I took the time, and I went to Noblesville, I went and saw Dora. I saw the cups, I saw the signs, I saw the business signs, I saw the alleyways, I saw the trash containers. I saw it all. I went on a Saturday, I went with some members here, they're sitting here tonight. I saw absolutely no problems. There wasn't people falling down drunk. There wasn't a lot of alcoholic beverages. We went into some businesses, there was no alcohol. It was just people wanting to shop and go into other businesses and look to see what was going on. So then I took myself, well, I need to research this a little bit more. So I went and I talked to people around the courthouse. We're always talking about the courthouse. So I talked to a lot of the people there, the younger people. They're for Dora. They really want Dora. And I said, well, you have kids. What about your kids? They don't have a problem with it. Their kids are part of their family. And they said they didn't have a problem with people walking around having an alcoholic beverage in their hand in a clear container, where it was marked, where it was coming from, and things like that. And so I did have an older person come up to me and said, whatever you do, I'm against Dora. I want you to know that. And I asked them why. And they talked about people falling down, drunk, intoxicated, the trash and things like that. And I explained to them what I had seen when I went to Noblesville and what I had saw, how it was monitored, how it was policed, no problems. So I took it one step further. I went ahead and contacted some of my associates that are still in the department, and I asked them, they see it throughout the state of Indiana. What about the door problem or situations in your area? What kind of problems do you have? None. It's regulated. They work it. Local law enforcement will walk through it, but the excise, they walk through it as well. And from what they told me from the doors that they have been issued throughout the state, there's no problem so far. So that's a positive for me. Then I look at what Lebanon did. Well, this committee come up today and said, listen, this is what we can do. We're not going to do that. We're taking minor steps. We're taking baby steps. We're going to go with limited containers, not 2, but 1. We're going to go with limited times. We're not going to go 7 days a week. We're not going to go till midnight or whatever. We're going to go this times. And then we talked about what happens if it's a problem. If it's a problem, they can come back up to us, or we can come up and say, listen, we're done. It didn't work. We can repeal it. We can get rid of it. But don't we at least deserve the businesses to have a shot? They came up with the idea. They came up with the suggestions. They came up with what works for them and their business. Don't they deserve a little bit of opportunity from this council to be able to see if it works? If it doesn't work, we can always come back and say, no, it didn't work, and we can revoke it. So we look at those things, and I haven't seen really any negative, and that's what I've seen. And I said, I took the time, I went and saw the Dora, I've asked the questions, I've walked around the city, and I think I have a pretty good grasp, I think, of what's going on. And again, I think I was the toughest sell because I've been dealing with alcohol with the ATC for 40 plus years. And I've seen a lot in those years. And so they've answered all my questions, and I'm comfortable with it. That's just me.
Additional comments?
I have one real quick, and for my small business owners, because I'm going to disagree with him that he's the hardest sell. And I got 2 people sitting right here that will tell you that. I had the opportunity to go to the Chop House and sit with the owner and sit with Missy, and they knew from the minute I walked in that door, it was a definite no. They opened my eyes. And I just want you to know, I don't want to hear 22% increase in alcohol sales. And I'm not saying that's just the only thing. Please don't take that to heart, but that's what it sounds like. I want to see increase in your sales. And if I can help you out, I will do that. I'm not opposed to that. Okay. I don't know if I want my wife going into that shop anymore and spending even more money, but great shop, by the way. But,
go there.
you know, just as John said, we're not going to know till we try it. And if I can help you out, that's my job, to help you out. And so they came to us with 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. No, I'm just kidding, on 24 hours a day. It seemed like that. And they were open at that time to scale everything down to what we are at now. So thank you for that. And so if they can work with me, I can work with them and you as well. Because again, I want to see this city grow and thrive. So.
Mike, you had comments?
Yeah, I own several businesses around the square from 1982 through 2012. And in those 30 years, I saw a lot of different ways that the downtown business owners tried to develop business. And we actually had more businesses down there during that time. And I was there with the first remodeling of the downtown. Jim Acton made me or asked me to be the president of the revitalization committee. So I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of change down there. And this is just another tool for this generation, this group of business owners who are just at the very beginning. I mean, they've been in business for 5 years or less on the downtown. And so they're just at the very beginning. If you look around the downtown, in those 30 years that I was down there, there are only 3 businesses that have the same name. And most of them have different owners, different businesses in the buildings. You got the library, Lebanon Reporter, and Cowan's Drugs. Everything else is changing. And so we're just trying to, well, I think the door is just helping with these changes. And so this generation of business owners can try to maximize what they want to do. And then if it works, great. If it doesn't work, we'll move on, go on. So that's my comment.
Any additional thoughts, comments, council?
Yeah, I just like to comment that I like to see the people downtown. I'd like to see people down doing things and shopping as much as they can and so forth. And I've got reservations. I still got reservations, but I respect my 2 colleagues down there on the end, down there on their comments. John did take the opportunity to go. I couldn't go at the time. And so I was looking forward to hear what John had to say with his background. And Rob and I did go sit down with those 2 and talk to them, and they got to hear what our thoughts were. And we were really pretty much against it right off the bat. I still got reservations, but yet you guys, the young people here, are the future. You know, unfortunately, I'm one of the old guys that probably won't be around a whole much longer, you know, and you guys are the future. And if this thing doesn't work in a year, you know, we can do something with it, you know, and unfortunately, you know, that means we just close it down. But I'd like to see what it happens, like to see what it does. I'd like to see if it does bring more people downtown to do things. You know, so I'm okay with the idea, knowing that we can at least cut it off if we have to, if it doesn't work.
Any final comments, questions? I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2025-41.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those here say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No, I'm opposed. That ordinance is adopted 5-1. Thank you, council. You guys want to take a quick 5-minute break? Yeah, we're gonna stand in recess for 5 minutes.
I told mine it'd be at least 10 o'clock.
All right, we're going to re-adjourn now.
We didn't got the
Still
golf
on
cart
old
yet.
business. And we'll, next up, ordinance 2025-44 concerning golf carts. Councilman Hawkins, this is your ordinance here. I know we made a couple tweaks, Rob, I believe, on this, or there were a couple little small minor things.
Yeah, Mayor, Council, just for the record, what we did is just on the definitions on Exhibit A, I would call them like scrivener changes where city streets was defined and city was defined. We just made sure that those words were defined elsewhere in Exhibit A where they weren't before. That's it. That's all. So.
Anything you want to say about the ordinance, Councilman Hawkins?
No, a couple things that we have, things that I noticed that I forgot to put in. We want to make sure everyone is aware. The purpose of this amending the golf cart ordinance is to basically make sure we stay in the specifications of a golf cart. Obviously, you want to realize that a golf cart was intentionally used for golf courses, were 12 to 14 mile an hour. And then once cities started to incorporate them, golf cart manufacturers increased that speed to 28 miles per hour. Being that it's 28 miles an hour, that's why you have to have a slow moving vehicle sign affixed to the rear of the vehicle. And I've been asked about, well, a golf cart has everything that an automobile has: headlights, taillights, turn signals, windshields, everything. Can we have them at night? And the answer is no, because a slow moving vehicle is not permitted by law to be on streets at night. Number one. Number two, in a discussion with our city police department, they're slow moving, they're a hazard, and they're hard to see at night, even with the headlights and taillights. So that's why we have that provision in there. I wanted to make sure everybody was clear on that. And then the only other thing was that now that the city police is doing the inspections of our golf carts for us, used to be you just brought your driver's license, your registration, and your insurance card up to the clerk's office. They gave you a golf cart permit. You took it right back. That's one of the major reasons why we did this here again, is now they are being inspected by the city police. You have to, starting January 1st, make a appointment to get your golf cart inspected. That fee has been raised. The fee used to be $30. It's now $50. People ask, why are we increasing the fee on this? That is because we're now taking a city patrolman off the streets and he is inspecting a golf cart. So we're going to reimburse the city police for that service. Now, the entire $50 does not go to the city police. It's a split, and that's something the city police and the city will work on as to how that split is going to be. We're possibly looking at like 30-20, where 30 goes to the city police because they're doing all the inspection. And then the city police will actually affix your golf cart permit to the rear of your golf cart. You can't get that without their inspection. You can't get that without showing your driver's license, your registration, and your proof of insurance. And then they will affix it on there. That is because in the past, we have had people that come up, and just one example is we had a subject come up and get a golf cart permit and put it on a UTV and run around the town with a golf cart permit on it. So can't do that anymore. That's why we now have the other ordinances that we're going to look at. So that's the big highlights here. Be more than happy to ask any questions if anybody from the audience has anything, or anybody from the council.
Yeah. Any questions or comments for Rob? And I'll have Rob Shine read it. No. And that's time. Okay, Rob, can you read the ordinance on second reading, and then we'll have public comment?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Again, this ordinance 2025-44 is an ordinance of this council amending Title 7, Chapter 75 of the City of Lebanon, Indiana Code of Ordinances for golf carts. So this council finds that as of the effective date of this ordinance, Title 7 Chapter 75 of the City Code shall be amended and replaced with Chapter 75 golf carts as attached in Exhibit A. The remaining portions of Title VII of the City Code are not affected by this ordinance, and all prior ordinances that are inconsistent with this ordinance are going to be repealed. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect after its adoption. Again, Exhibit A is the replacement with Chapter 75 golf carts. So just to restate, 75.02 are the definitions, 75.03 are the approved dimensions that Councilman Hawkins was talking about. And there's some depictions on page 6 of that. 75.04 is the registration. 75.05, again, goes through the annual inspections. 75.06 addresses the permitted operation. 75.07 is the operational requirements. 75.08 are the prohibited areas. And 75.09, which we talked about before, but address special events allowing golf carts in certain times. And then 75.10 are the penalties.
Thank you, Rob. At this time, is there any public comment concerning ordinance 2025-44? Sorry for your very long wait tonight.
You've answered a couple of my questions that I don't think were answered last meeting. I watched it. I didn't come in person. But my name is Carrie Richard. I live at 1709 Garfield Street. So thank you for the additional context with the pricing. I did have some questions about that. But I do have, I guess, another question that we've defined the golf cart as having operational headlights, taillights, turn signals, street legal lighting is what I would call it. But we're still gonna have that restriction at night, right? So I feel like there's a trade-off here. Like we're requiring people to go through these hoops of having the street legal lighting, but then not letting them drive it at night. So I was just wondering if you could explain a little bit about why they would have to have that street legal lighting if they're not going to be permitted to do it at night.
And one of the things is too, and I forgot to mention that, I apologize. There are going to be certain times where we are going to permit them after hours. Again, the after hours, and I'm talking about dark, is for safety reasons. Again, if you're a slow-moving vehicle, you are not allowed to be out after dark, period, by state law. That's any vehicle, not just a golf cart. That's any vehicle.
Sure, like a 49 cc moped?
4th of July.
Okay.
A lot of people like to drive their golf carts to go watch the fireworks and everything. And we will have special permitted times where that will be allowed. We're not going to punish you because you're driving your golf cart at 10 o'clock at night after the fireworks are over or later. I don't stay up that late anymore because I'm too old.
The lighting also, if I can add to what you're saying, it helps them be recognized because they're smaller. All of these are smaller. So just like a motorcycle, they have to have their lights on all the time. And these things need that too, just to be seen easier and not overlooked because they are smaller.
Sure. With the special events section, is that what we were talking about with, like, during fireworks? Is that something different where you'd need a permit in addition to your normal permit? Or is that just for somebody that's coming into town for a week, like the carnival people? Okay.
And I just use the example of the 4th of July and the fireworks. There are other events that take place in town and they can come up and say, hey, can we make this a special event, quote unquote, so that we can allow the golf carts to be out a little bit later at night? Yes, by all means.
Okay.
We don't want to restrict you 100% from everything. There are certain times where we are going to allow.
And that's going to be published somewhere or on a website where people would know?
The Board of Works would designate those events as special golf cart permit.
Okay.
Again,
And that special use permit is not something you'd have to jump through a hoop to do that?
The special use permit is because of, we are now, even though my colleague here doesn't like to use this term, a golf cart city, you can actually rent a golf cart.
Okay.
So if you rented a golf cart from a business and you see the big semis come in with 20, 30 golf carts on them and they get off, those people have to go get a special event tag.
Yeah, you're not going to make them get a 1-year permit to use it for a short time.
Only,
okay, that makes sense.
And they can use that for that. That's what the special event is for.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the explanation. I know UTVs are next, and I'm not going to come back up here. But while I'm here, I'm just going to say that that's a 65-inch width and your illustration is 55 inches.
Yes.
So you might want to fix that.
And understand too, their golf carts all manufacturers are a little different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you came up with 67 inches, and I used the comment the first time that we did this, the city police made the comment, it was kind of joking around, but it's kind of fitting. They're going to paint a box on the wall. If your cart fits inside that box, then you're within the dimensions, because they know they're all a little off, inch here, inch there. We put in here that you can have up to 6 passengers.
Sure.
If it's all bench seating, you have 3-row seats now. That's actually 9. But again, you're not going to be stopped, because as long as every person has a seat in there, we're going to be fine. So,
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your service to our community.
thank you.
Any additional public comment? Okay. Did we need to make a motion to adopt the scrivener's errors and adjustments that Rob?
I would, just for
Okay.
making it clear.
Okay. And that's an Exhibit A, correct? Okay. Can I have a motion to amend Exhibit A to reflect the scrivener's errors that were mentioned before?
I make a motion, we
Just the technical correction, the technical corrections, yes.
requested
Yep.
corrections,
Yep.
please.
Motion, there's a second? Second for Mike. This is again,
Before you vote, so Sandra, that's what I mentioned in the beginning. There were 2 defined terms, city and city streets, that weren't capitalized like in the, yeah.
we're
That's
just,
all. it is.
yeah, we're just making all the little technical corrections that don't substantively change it. Yeah, so we have a motion to adopt the scrivener's errors. Is there a second? Or we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right, those scrivener's errors are corrected, adopted. Any further, I guess, the one question I have, Rob, how firm are you on the turn signals? On the turn signals? Yeah, because a lot of the older model golf carts don't have turn signals.
And I think that you can go into that. If you have an older model cart, you're grandfathered in. Just like,
So if it's an issue
and I
that-
think I use the example of a seatbelt when like a car, an older model car, I think it was 64 and older, were never manufactured with seatbelts. So you can actually drive them on the city streets right now without a seatbelt. So if you brought a older golf cart up, and again, this is where the city police is inspecting them, and they look and say, oh, okay, this is an older cart, wasn't manufactured with turn signals, it's okay.
Okay, so we don't have to, they don't have turn signals, don't have to retrofit them.
What you're going to have is the old golf cart that people have.
Yeah.
That does not have that. And then you take the newer golf carts today, they got.
Yeah, right, yeah.
They got all the bells. You can buy them with all the bells and whistles.
Right. Okay. But yeah, my point is people won't have to go and retrofit and add turn signal kits to their golf
They'd be
carts
grandfathered
if it
in.
was stock from the factory without them.
Correct.
Okay.
Is that in the ordinance?
I did not see it that way. That's why I wanted to bring it up as a.
That was just a question. Will they grandfathered or something? Will there be a terminology change, or are we just going to leave it at that?
I think we should.
We can add that in, can't we, sir?
We can make an amendment right now. Yep.
Wanted to read, so it's not written in there to answer the question. So in golf cart definition, it has turn signals. So
What if we said,
So if you read the ordinance as is with all of these requirements, and then state if you have somehow state it where is if you have an older golf cart that was not manufactured with all of these requirements, they are grandfathered in.
under section A, under definition, it's like, or substantially similar? Because that would give the variability to the police department to say, hey, it's substantially similar to.
I would probably put in there, we might want to consider an operational speed of 14 mile an hour for regular. Regular golf cart. I
If
think,
if it
only
doesn't,
goes
if it
about
doesn't
40
have
mile
the
an
turn
hour.
signals and
Mine goes 12.
and all that.
Mine goes 12.
I think, I think a regular golf cart only goes about 14 mile an hour. We're talking about an old golf cart that's on the golf course that will not have lights or headlights or turn signals and stuff like that.
I have a question though.
Yep.
About the ones that 1960, whatever it was you said. Hey, I own one.
Yes, sir.
And when I pass away, what happens now? All right, it's no longer, I can't give it to my kid and let him have it.
Well, the cart,
The ordinance allows it.
the cart itself is grandfather, not the person.
I mean, when does it ever stop? I mean, how old this thing is when it gets to be 27?
I mean, mine's a 98. It's pretty rough. So I don't know.
I take mine for
92 and I have no turn signals. I have lights,
Yeah, I have lights. Yeah.
but I don't have turn signals. But
Yeah.
if I die, my kids are gonna take it. I mean,
Yeah. It's
they'll get a
the
golf cart permit and it'll be grandfathered in with no.
Rob. Do you have some language for us that might work as an amendment?
I think the question for you all is if we want to put an exception in here unless it was not equipped with such features, but we need to make sure it reads appropriately. I mean, is,
I want it to be out front.
so I'll just read it verbatim and then I'll tell you what I'm thinking and we can work with it, I guess. So golf cart is in 75.02A. Says a motor vehicle designed for use on a golf course for the sporting or recreational purposes with a maximum speed of less than 28 miles per hour, comma, equipped with operational headlights, taillights, brake lights, turn signals, horn, rear view mirror. And so this is where I think we would say unless it was not equipped with such features when it was manufactured or something to that effect. I don't. We could also, I mean, I don't know what the chief thinks, but we could provide some leeway with.
Or was whenever we're amending on the fly, or it's substantially similar, or gives the discretion of the police department.
Yeah. Unless it was not.
Chief doesn't like the gray area. Yeah.
Needs a final reading.
I mean, are we just talking turn signals?
Well, turn signals and horns are not on
Because I've been
2010
behind
cards are
golf
not
carts
common.
in town that didn't have turn signals and they're using hand signals.
Right.
I mean, you can do that on a bicycle, on a motorcycle, not required. I don't see the turn signal being a big thing. Brake lights and headlights, I think are
Yeah,
important.
which they all have those.
But
Is
the
easier
turn
just-
signal, I don't see being a big deal, whether it's a new one or an old one,
So Rob, the other option is we could just strike
Yeah, right. That's
turn signals and horn, because I do think they should have a rear view mirror. And that's not an hard thing to add either.
That's fine.
Are you
Yeah,
fine
that's
striking?
good. I'm
Okay.
good with that.
Okay, so can we have a motion to strike turn signals and horns from 7.02A? Is there a motion for that? Motion, is there a second? Second from John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is now amended.
We're not.
No, we're just striking. Yep. Okay. All right. Any other final comments, discussion on the ordinance? Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2025-44 as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Is there a second? Second from Dick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. All right, going on to items D and E here, still under old business. I know certainly on item E, we had a lot more work to do on the e-bike ordinance.
Right. And I make a motion that we table both of these because there's work to be done on both of these
Okay.
still.
Yep, I want to make sure.
And then
we're
we will
good
get them cleaned up for the next meeting.
with that. Motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Second and third. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll table items D and E, and we'll take those up at our next meeting after some additional cleanup. Okay, any other old business for council? Okay, new business then. Here we go. 10 o'clock. All right, first item up here is Resolution 2025-38. This is additional appropriation for Witt and Noble Street. Kevin Krulik.
Thank you very much. Someone in the audience told me if I didn't go quickly, they might tase me. So
Only two guesses who has the taser.
I'm not, I'll plead the fifth. But yes, Resolution 2538 is an additional appropriation. This is to set up budgets for next year for Witt Road and Noble Street, those two projects. So I'll happy to provide more detail, but that's what these are for. These are funding per the funding schedule that was originally approved on these projects.
So we.
That's what I said. What's the difference between Noble Street and them?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's so on Noble Street, this is for continuing engineering services, and it's projected to total $657,123.82. Witt Road is for continued engineering services as well as right-of-way buying, and that total is $840,545.
So these were, when we submit our funding plan to NDOT, they were approved through the matches. We didn't put it into our budget. So it was just a matter of now this is what we committed to when we got our grant from the state for it.
And budgets have to be done yearly, so we couldn't have put this in 2 years ago. This is something we have to bring up every year.
We didn't necessarily know that either until we got the bids back or got the exact totals back. So, okay.
Thank you.
Tanya, mind reading it?
Resolution 2025-38. The City of Lebanon is a duly formed municipal corporation. It is the duty and the responsibility of the council to maintain fiscal integrity of the finances. At times, it becomes necessary to appropriate additional funds within the approved budget. It has been determined it is now necessary to appropriate more money in the annual budget. All additional appropriations require a public hearing of which the council has served proper notice. Be it resolved that Resolution 2538 is to appropriate funds for Witt Road and Noble Street in the amount of $1,769,766.
Thank you, Tanya. This time, I'm going to open the public hearing on Resolution 2025-38. If you need a public comment, please come forward. State your name for the record and keep comments to 3 minutes if possible. 1 minute? We're not. Seeing no sudden movements, I will close the public hearing on Resolution 2025-38. Any further questions, comments from council? No, sir. Will entertain a motion.
Make a motion we approve Resolution 2025-38.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second from Keith. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. Thank you, Kevin. All right, next up, Tanya, this one's yours. Resolution 2025-39. This is a disappropriation for personnel services.
Right. This is, well, I'll explain after I read it. I'll go ahead and read it, and then I'll show you the breakdown. The City of Lebanon, or Resolution 2025-39, duly formed municipal corporation within the state of Indiana. It's the responsibility of the council to maintain fiscal integrity of the finances of the city. At times, it becomes necessary to appropriate general funds, additional funds. I've said that twice now. Okay, sorry. Within the approved budget, it has been determined that it's now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget. All additional appropriations require a public hearing of which the council has served proper notice. Resolution 2539 is to appropriate funds for fire overtime in the amount of $110,100. Fire perf in the amount of $98,500. Police perf in the amount of $86,000. Life insurance, $2,988, short-term disability, $3,496, and multi-peril insurance, or citywide insurance, is $254,000 for a total of $555,084.
Thank you, Tanya. Any public comment, or this time I'll open the public hearing on resolution 2025-39. If you have public comment, please come forward. State your name for the record and also your address. And keep comments 3 minutes if possible. Okay. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on resolution 2025-39. Council discussion. A lot of these were kind of cleanup items that this will get us to the end of the year. We had a lot of overtime. We had quite a few babies born this year, I believe, in our departments. So some of that caused some overtime issues. So that's kind of part of that. And then unfortunately, the insurance was higher than we projected at budget times from the cost with that. So that's what that is.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. Thank you, Council. All right, next up, Resolution 2025-40. This is a district appropriation concerning lit personnel services. Tanya.
Resolution 2025-40, the City of Lebanon is a duly formed municipal corporation within the state of Indiana. It is the duty and responsibility of the council to maintain physical integrity of the finances of the city. At times, it becomes necessary to appropriate additional funds within the approved budget as contemplated and authorized under IC Code. It has been determined it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget. All additional appropriations require a public hearing of which council has served proper notice. Resolution 2025-40 is to appropriate funds for fire perf and police perf. It's late. This is Fund 2204 as opposed to what I just read, which was for the general fund. This is $34,000 for the fire department and $28,686 for the police department, and that's coming from the lit budget, for a total of $62,687.
Thank you, Tanya.
Yep.
This time I'll open the public hearing on Resolution 2025-40. If you have public comment, please come forward. State your name, address for the record, and keep comments to 3 minutes if possible. Seeing no sudden movements, I will close the public hearing on Resolution 2025-40. Council discussion, comments? Motion?
I make a motion, we approve Resolution 2025-40.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Sandra. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Thank you, Council. All right, next up, Resolution 2025-41. This is district appropriations for CCD projects and police. Chief Morgan.
Good evening. The police department's asking for an additional $8,000 in their billing, operation, and maintenance line. We had an air conditioning unit go out on our investigation side, cost us $13,000. We had an electric problem that filled one of our bays up with smoke. When the outlets, that cost us $1,300. Stuff we couldn't count on, plus our normal bills. So we're going to be short about $8,000.
And we're trying to Band-Aid the station. Obviously we're exploring options going forward, but we're just trying to get it to hang on for a couple more years is the plan. So Tanya, and then Kevin, you had a portion of that one as well?
Yeah.
Yours a little bit bigger, I believe.
Slightly larger portion. Yes. So included in this is a CCD appropriation, additional appropriation. This is to cover Grant Street expenses, the Thompson Street expenses. That's the Parks Department, storage building renovations, as well as in the Elizaville and Elm Swamp intersection improvements. That total is $1,125,263. So for a grand total, including the LPD O&M fund, that's $1,133,263. I can give you the breakdown of the projects associated with with what this is. So on CCD, a lot of our funds went out, and some of those funds have came back in, particularly related to the Grant Street project. So we put money out to make our match to the to NDOT on the grant. We received $970,000 back, but that money does not go back into an appropriated fund. So we're appropriating that $970,000. As well as then cleaning up some gaps on this as well, and providing for contingency for the Grant Street Phase 2 project. So there is roughly $350,000 in the Grant Street project that is contingency, only to be used if we need it. But this gives us that flexibility. So I believe it's actually, I think my numbers were edited slightly after they were submitted. So initially, we're at $383,000 for inspection. We were carrying $360,000 for contingency on a $4 million construction project. Thompson Street is $375,000 roughly, and Elizaville was originally budgeted at $275,000, but came in significantly under that. So I think there's savings in several areas of savings within this appropriation, but this covers the budgets that were submitted at the time we needed to submit them to make notices for this meeting.
And so just to clarify, so we got money back just because the bids came in better than we thought. So we were able, some money was returned to us. So because of that, we then were able to say, hey, we can fund these improvements at the Parks Department and do all those things that we talked about with it. So we've talked about that before, but this is now just the actual mechanism to make that happen. So, okay. Tanya, you read it yet or no? Read it.
Resolution 2025-41 is the duty and responsibility of the council to maintain fiscal integrity of the finances of the city. At times, it becomes necessary to appropriate additional funds within the approved budget. It has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget. All additional appropriations require a public hearing of which the council has served proper notice. Be it resolved and adopted by the council, Resolution 2025-41 is to appropriate funds for CCD, Grant Street, Thompson Street, and Elizaville and M Swamp Road, and the police O&M operations and maintenance. This fund is, again, CCD, it's 4402, and the amount is $1,133,263.
Thank you, Tanya. This time we'll open the public hearing on Resolution 2025-41. If you need public comment, please come forward. State your name and address for the record, and keep comments 3 minutes if possible. Chief, you want to say anything? Good? I'm just kidding. All right, we'll close the public hearing then on Resolution 2025-41. Council discussion, comments? Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we approve Resolution 2025-41.
Motion approved. Is there a second? Second from Dick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that's approved. All right, next up, Resolution 2025-42. This is disappropriations for the sanitation waste hauler.
Too. So we are short in our funds for the appropriation line for us to pay waste management. And this $180,000 will get us through the month of December. So Resolution 2025-42, it is the duty and responsibility of the council to maintain fiscal integrity of the finances. At times it becomes necessary to appropriate additional funds within the approved budget as contemplated. It is determined it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated. All additional appropriations require a public hearing of which the council has served proper notice. Resolution 2542 is to appropriate funds for our waste hauler, and this will come out of the Sanitation Fund 6601 in the amount of $180,000.
Thank you, Tanya. This time we'll open the resolution or public hearing on Resolution 2025-42. If you need public comment, please come forward. State your name for the record and keep comments to 3 minutes if possible. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on Resolution 2025-42. Tanya, could we, talking through I'm trying to remember what precipitated this shortfall. I mean, some of it happens when people aren't up to date on their utility bills. And so when it's collected from us, it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
By the utilities and then comes to us. And there are
Yeah.
that when people don't pay.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a lag situation, and so that's kind of what has caused this.
So will we recoup this since
We
there's a
will.
lag in it?
Someday,
We will, yes.
Okay.
someday.
Will they still be our haulers next year for 26?
I believe their contract is through,
It started in 22, I believe.
it was a 5-year.
23, 24, 25, 26.
I believe it was a 5-year, started in 22, so they have 2 more years
Yeah.
before that contract is up. And I think it's up on July 1st, if I remember correctly. So
Of 26
of
or 27.
27. So when we get a year from now, as we're going into 27, we will be needing to be thinking about rebidding those services. But the fee structure, yes, was structured in a way based on that contract, the fees charged to the public, plus a fee charged by the utility company to run the billing. All that was meant to be a wash. So we should recoup all the costs. At least the way the contract was set up. I'm not really involved in the operation of the contract anymore, but the contract was set up that all costs plus the operational costs for utilities to do the billing was passed through to the consumers.
And I think there was, and we talked about some of this too, we had some additional bills for hauling away of the recycling at the Public Works building that was getting used very frequently. And so there were some higher bills associated with that. I think also some of the dumpsters at the Parks Department, I think some things like that. So there's kind of been
Parks
these,
Department, which that doesn't really come out.
yeah. So there's a few of these that are.
I was just curious if we're going to have reoccurring for 26, the same things, and we're going to be a
Yes.
shortfall again next year.
I
Most
wouldn't-
likely, yes.
I mean, unless everybody pays their utility.
There is a fund balance though, so it's not like we're going into red with it. There's a fund balance in sanitation. It's also the extra dumpsters at the Public Works Department that are becoming filled up more, and the dumpsters at the Parks Department, and
We also left a hefty balance in the waste hauler fund. That's what you're appropriating. That was not, if you remember, we appropriated some of that fund for the cap fortifications at the bike park, but we did not appropriate 100% of it. I don't remember the total.
There's revenue there, and it's
The appropriation lines,
a monthly cycle, right? So we may get some more in, right? And so next year there's,
Get us through December.
Yeah.
and then Whatever we get next will be January.
yeah, so it kind of lags a month too, a little bit, so. Okay, any other further comments or questions? Okay, entertain a motion then concerning resolution 2025-42.
Approve Resolution 2025-42.
Motion approves, our second. Second from Dick, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, that is approved, thank you, council. All right, and finally here, resolution 2025-43. George Bach.
It's me. Just to the council, I think I sent something out on this, but so we have our money invested in a CD we have since last year, and it's a 1-year expiration up on the resolution allowing the use of CDs with banks outside the city's boundaries. And this states that, which I will read, and it just needs to be signed by the council that we can keep our money where it is. So resolution 25-43, whereas the city of Lebanon desires pursuant to Indiana code to allow banks outside the political subdivision to submit quotes on public funds certificates of deposit. Now therefore be it resolved, Common Council, the city of Lebanon, Indiana, the IC code 5-13-9-5, the investing officer of the city is hereby authorized to invest in certificates of deposit of depositories that have not been designated by the local Board of Finance, but have been designated by the State Board of Finance as a depository for state deposits. This authorization expires 1 year after the adoption.
Thank you, Tanya.
Yes.
Any questions or comments or council on that one? Okay, that entertain a motion then concerning resolution 2025-43. It's not a public hearing. So we don't have to, unless anybody's dying to comment on our financial advisor. I'm seeing shaking. Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Thank you, council. Thank you, John, for keeping me honest. There you go. All right, that concludes what I have for new business. Anything from council?
Yes. Real quick, I received several phone calls and concerns. I talked to Kevin Krulik, asking for a three-way stop at Grant Boulevard and Angelee Way. The complaints and concerns were vehicles parked directly in front of Grant Boulevard on Angelee Way at the show house or show home, causing traffic issues, difficult for people or traffic or cars to get around with those cars parked there. More work vehicles on Angelee Gardens or in Angelee Gardens with the new homes coming in, causing traffic concerns and with speed and going through that intersection. So they've requested, and I made a request to Kevin, wherever Kevin is, for a possible three-way stop at that area in Chadwick.
We can make that the first ordinance of next year, probably. So, because that does require an ordinance on that one. So, okay, thank you, John. Any other new business from council?
Not new business, but I have a question.
Sure.
We still have the heavy trash pickup on the third week of the month?
Yes, we do.
Heavy trash is the third week of the month. It's next week.
And is it on the day, like they usually pick up mine on Tuesday, so it'd be Tuesday?
I
Or
would
is it-
say my advice, and I think it's theirs too, is put it out as early in the week as you can because it is a different driver, a different truck that picks up heavy trash.
It's kind of that week.
Is there a charge for that?
No, it's included in your bill.
Do you have to make an appointment?
No.
No?
As long as you're within the guidelines of heavy trash week, which is 1 week or one item per that week. Yeah, I mean, that's basically the only thing. It's got to be one item. There's some restrictions on, like if it's a mattress, it has to be wrapped in plastic. But
Is that
those restrictions are published on our website.
They've talked to us that they have a new online portal that they've wanted to roll out to kind of make it a little more streamlined. We have not done that yet. So our contract states they have to do a curbside without that. So we haven't, you don't have to make it. But if you're outside of your heavy trash week, you could use that portal to request that service though, if you wanted to. But that does that does come with a charge though. So, okay. Any other new business from council?
Make a motion to pay the claim.
Motion to pay the claims. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Rob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Whoa, sorry.
Oh.
Sorry. Now it's discussion. Judge, sorry.
Everybody?
Please.
Hi. I understand that everybody's eager to get city court started. I understand you're wanting to start writing tickets in January. I've sent repeated requests to several people to get a copy of the city code, in fact, really a current copy of the city code. The copy that I have and am directed to is current through December of 2020. And that is the one that's online. It doesn't even include the section that recreated the city court. I don't know if I am doing everything that the city court's supposed to do. And furthermore, I understand that we are trying to start with infractions instead of ordinance stuff. And I know that that's the kind of the plan. But isn't it that in order to decide what an infraction penalty is, you guys would have to pass an ordinance or a law instead of just making a policy and telling me this is what the policy is? Because if it's just a policy, it's a policy and it's not the law. And so if what you want to do is have X, Y, Z for A, B, C, D infractions, and you're just making a policy, I think like you did, and just said, let's do what Fishers did. I don't have it in writing. And there are sleuths in this town that will try to look up where the law is for what that penalty provision is. And if I have to take the bench and someone asks, where can I find that provision? And I say, I can't point you to it, or I can't say what the citation is, or I'm sorry, but I have an outdated copy. Here's what I have. do you really want the judge to sit on the bench and have to say something like that?
Judge, I know we've had a couple, 2 or 3 working sessions. What I would suggest, and we can reconvene in talking with the clerk treasurer. I realize what is online with the city code apparently is not fully updated from American Legal. I think
Five years out of date.
I'm sorry?
5 years out of date.
We've sent all the,
Okay,
let me,
I understand they may have it. Why do I not have it?
I can't answer that. I've called Paul Jones with American Legal. Every year we send in the ordinances and the resolutions. We pay for them. We get a disc back. The one that's online with the city
I don't
is
even have a
20.
disc. I don't have that.
It's online.
Well, according
And
to
we've sent
what,
you all the city codes, the ones that we
according to the
sent to
city
Galen's.
code, there's to
All
be
right.
2 paper copies in the clerk treasurer's office at all times. And I
I think
assume
we-
that is for people that do not have computers and cannot pay to go look at a computer, to just walk into the office and say, can I see the city code, please?
My thought on this is that we have never talked about this.
I've sent several emails to everybody saying, can I get a copy of the city code, a current copy? I've sent at least half a dozen over the last year and a half, really.
All right.
And I'm not trying to point in, I don't even know who's supposed to maintain it. I've asked legislators, I've asked council, the executive branch, I've asked Tanya, I've asked Kelsey, I've asked several people. It'd be like telling Kevin to go inspect and do a road job, but you don't give him the blueprints, or you give him a 5-year outdated blueprint. And Kevin, would you want to do that?
Judge, if I may, I'd be happy to meet with you again. I know,
Okay.
I know part of the
Done.
working sessions, what we're having is trying to get through this. So I'll shoot you an email and we can set a time.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we do have a very brief December 22nd meeting scheduled that really will just be for claims. We don't have any plans to have any new business or any other voting actions other than just to approve the bills. No, we don't have the meeting. So we'll work with everybody to figure out, I know it's currently scheduled for 7:15. We may tweak it based on schedules because it's obviously almost good Christmas. So we may figure out the best time for everybody. So to be determined on the time. Worst case will be 7:15, but if not, we'll have the notices out to make it a little more convenient for everybody. So with that, we stand adjourned. Thank you.